We have a little snow to welcome.
I'm just trying to get.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this joint meeting of the Kennebunkport Selectboard and the Kennebunkport Budget Board. I have some good news for our large attendance. You will have the joy for the first hour or so to hear about some of the budget decisions that we are going to be making for the upcoming year. I would give you a few minutes now to take that hour elsewhere, but you're certainly more than welcome to stay. But I don't see us getting to the main meeting of the Select Board until at least 7 p.m. Having said that, would you please all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, once I find my stuff, we'll be all set. So we will enter now, first if, and thank April, if you would call your board to order.
Thank you. I will open this meeting of the Budget Board. We have 9 members here, so we have a quorum and we're ready to go.
Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone. Tonight we are going to tackle the second part of our operational budget. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of Eric LaBelle and also Stephanie and Jen are the headliners tonight. So we are starting with the solid waste budget on page 201. So if you go to your health and welfare tab, it is the first budget there. And as I stated before, you have the programming, which we contract out most of the solid waste. We have a review of the recycling tonnage, and then we have our numbers. So, Eric?
Hi, thank you. I'll be very quick about this. The basically comprises, next slide. You know, the solid waste comprises of household waste, composting, landfill, monitoring that we also have to do for PFAS and such collection of those solid waste, as well as recycling and the recycling process, as well as waste disposal that goes to Echo Main. So that's just a quick summary of that. Going to the public bathrooms. Okay, solid waste. So as you can see here, we've had a some changes. We did since we've made changes to our collection of solid waste in the last year, so we're no longer picking up commercial waste. So we saw our tonnage kind of alter a little bit. We didn't really have straight numbers as to how much tonnage was actually from commercial users, as well as how much tonnage was coming from residential. Now we have a better number for that. Next slide, please. Public health. Jen?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jennifer Brooks, Director of Public Health. I'm here. Closer, thank you.
And I want to welcome Jen to her first presentation,
Yeah,
so welcome.
Yeah. I'm here because the town understands the importance and the unique opportunity of having a public health department. With that, I'd like to acknowledge the community for their understanding and support of this department and ultimately of one another. Last week, you missed it. For the people that weren't here, there was some talk about who the favorite department was. But I just wanted to give one piece of statistic that we're the only town in Maine with a public health department. So I think I might be the chosen one. It's hard to fight. I mean, it's all, in all seriousness, though. Please note in the presentation the collaboration it takes to have a public health department. Thank you to the community and to the fellow department heads for supporting, because this is not a single person operation. So So this is the public health statistics slide. You'll see various data points on patient visits, employees, water sampling, vaccines, foot care, and the equipment closet, loan closet. We'll go into more of this information throughout the presentation. So the org chart for the public health department, there's one full-time director with 2 per diem nurses. Not mentioned in this slide is the medical director, Pete Tilney. And then before we dive into more of the information, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the per diem nurses that supported our community from October to December. With the sudden loss of Allison, Donna Kennedy and Lynn Reed did not hesitate to step up and continue the mission of the Public Health Department. Allison and her predecessors have set the groundwork for this exclusive opportunity, and we don't take that hard work lightly. So thank you to Donna and Reed, and make sure you extend it when you see them. Help me out, Dave. Okay. All right, so we're gonna dive deeper into what the Public Health Department offers the community. The mission statement for the Public Health Department is to seek to assist residents and guests, in meeting their health and social service needs while striving to improve overall wellness. The Public Health Department manages an equipment closet that is a collaboration with the Health Council that has just over 130 pieces of equipment. In 2025, those equipment were used 367 times by just our community alone. In 2025, 7 educational opportunities were done in the community with help of local businesses, collaborators, which included the Death Cafe, Wellness Lunch and Learns, Blue Zone, the Maine Mature Driving Project, Car Fit, and Community Connection. Maine Municipal Employee Trust also provides educational opportunities for our town employees. Yeah, got you, Dave. Thank you. Other programs, the local health officer. This is a Maine state requirement. Each municipality is required to be covered by a local health officer, or here in town we call it the public health officer. This is a 3-year term, but just like the public health, this is not done alone. We are collaborative with area experts, including plumbing, code enforcement, animal control, Department of Inland Wildlife and Fisheries, professional experts, Manufacturing Housing Board, and DHHS. In 2025, there was no health officer reported events in the town. And then also in October, we partnered with Walgreens to do a community vaccine clinic. 93 vaccines were administered during that time. This number was less than years previous, but the department's already working with Walgreens to improve that for 2026 season. Nursing and care collaboration. The Public Health Department is a low acuity medical service. Services that we provide include medication management, blood pressure evaluations, ostomy care, injections, social service support. We also do provider communication, appointment verifications for people, medical record management, family caregiver collaboration, and safety evaluations. In 2025, 1,421 patients were touched by the Public Health Department. Currently, 31 people are being cared for in their home by the per diem nurses while I get my feet underneath me. Allison provided 51 patients with diabetic foot care through 145 office visits. Every patient is different and the needs are different as well. These needs are coordinated with family in and out of the town and our state, physicians, in-home care coordinators, and at sometimes collaboration with CHEMS. Public Health and the Health Council are continuing the Welcome Baby Bag program. 31 of those bags were delivered in 2025, We're catching up from October to December. With birth, deaths, and seasonal influx, the Public Health Department is focused on how to adapt to what the community needs. The Maine Healthy Beach Program is with the Public Health Department, local volunteers, residences, and the Maine Healthy Beach Program team. In 2025, 121 samples were obtained, processed, over 3 official sites and 2 additional sites in the town. With Chief Everett deciding to retire, Public Health has to work with Public Works now, and we'll be reaching out to community members on how to work together as we're preparing for the 2026 season. Does anyone have any questions for the public health side of the presentation? Go for it, please.
What, with the water sample testing, what have you found in general have been the problems for the town?
Well, I am still trying to get my feet under me, so I
Right.
can't speak to that exactly, but I am absolutely okay to follow up and get back to you on those. I just don't have that information, I'm sorry. I didn't study deep down.
Did you want to speak to that, John?
Yeah, I could maybe shed some light on that. I've been involved with Allison for a number of years on this program. And one of the challenges that we have faced is that our 2 tidal rivers can be a source of bacteria. It's an enterococcus is the bacteria that is used as a surrogate to try to indicate the presence of human fecal matter. It can associate with, but it's not uniquely associated with. It also can reproduce in the grasses of a marsh. It can reproduce in seaweed, in the tidal flows. It concentrates when there's a low tidal throw, when between high and low. And then when you get a king tide, you flush out water that's been stewing for a while, and you get high surges in Enterococcus bacteria. So the town has moved to use DNA testing, looking with Bacteroides, which is a critter that directly associates with the human gut. And in that way, we can have a much more direct detection of the potential for fecal contamination. We have been doing that for a number of years now. I'm pleased to say things were looking very good. I think we are in relatively good shape. We have high values that come out of our 2 rivers of Enterococcus bacteria. And when they're high, because we want to follow Maine Healthy Beaches, we do put our warnings up and warn people that might be immunocompromised, because any bacteria, even though it has a low interspecies threshold, it's still a presence of bacteria, is of concern. And we have permanently posted both of the tidal rivers, because you just don't know. It's much worse at low tide. Our statistics show us that much worse. There's a higher concentration of bacteria at low tide. May not be above the safe threshold, but it's higher. And it's higher at king tide. So there's a lot of variables. So we just permanently post the rivers and warn people, if you're immunocompromised, you're best not to swim there. Even though as a kid, well, maybe you and I both, we swam there all the time, and it hasn't bothered me. So, but at any rate,
Jury's still out, right?
that jury's still out. But that's where, that's a long answer to your short question.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we'll move on to welfare if everyone's all set. Through the health and welfare budget, the public health supports fuel, food, and general needs, either through the incredible generosity of the community or through the general assistance program. Public health is the general assistance administrator. This is a state mandated program. This program has to be open to accept applications for basic emergent needs, 50% of the municipality's business hours. with a 24/7, 365 emergency response. The General Assistance Program is supported through the Finance Department, Public Health, as well as Police. In 2025, 8 applications were processed, with 1 being supported through the program for rent assistance. Due to the generosity of the community, the Public Health Department was able to provide 16 emergency fuel fills and prevent 2 CMP disconnects. We also partner with COS for the food assistance. Currently, or I should say, in 2025, COS supported 87 residents in 35 households for food assistance. Through community collaboration, Public Health Team utilizes the following groups for general needs: Health Council for the Back to School Backpack Program, the Rotary Club for the Back to School Clothing Program, seasonal support with 8 boxwood trees donated to seniors, 5 senior gift bags, and then 8 children received Secret Santa gifts. We have clothing drives through Apparel Impact at the Police and Public Health parking lot, York County Community Action for state funding, Nelson Analytical for well water testing, COS again for Stuff Our Bus when we have our elections, and we're also partnering with them for the emergency food packs for the GA program. Community Harvest, as you can see, feeding our community on Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then Community Gourmet, which I'm not sure if, it might be a new program in terms of speaking of, but a staggering statistic I want to just leave for everyone to reflect on. Community Gourmet creates weekend packs for over 90 children in RSU 21, so they have food to eat on the weekend. There are currently 8 in this town, so something that we can all work to strive for in the coming year. So, why we're here, budget. The public health budget decreased by about 9.5% due to salary changes. The health and welfare budget stayed neutral. However, like legal and fire, you just don't know what the needs are going to be. So to be transparent, one general assistance application could wipe out the entire general assistance budget for the year, because the general assistance program only gets reimbursed by the state at 70%. So what is missing from the budget for public health and welfare? The request was made for a program called WellPAC. WellPAC supports general assistance program. This program was created by a programmer for the city of Portland. This programmer was authorized by Portland to share the program with any municipality in Maine for free. So why is there $1,500 on the slide? City of Portland has allowed this programmer to support the program that goes out to all the municipalities that are choosing to use it. Currently, there's 25 in the state that are using this. This program helps make sure that the math, the reimbursement, and the actual paperwork stays in the program itself. So decreasing the human error in processing an application, and as we know here in Kennebunkport, decreasing paper, which takes up space. Does anyone have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do.
I have a question about the solid waste, which went by so quickly.
Thank you.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Didn't
Back
get
to
a chance.
Eric.
we can rewind. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, is there a question on the health side?
Just we can be partners at the American Legion with you to help out. There's probably not enough people that recognize that the veterans have more access to medical care and potentially disability than they ever have before. So if you need some expertise on that, please call the American Legion and we're happy to help. Or if anybody here needs information on it, we're happy to help. We probably cut down on some of your costs.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Eric, I think we need you back up here for a solid waste question.
You're up.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Nice sling, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't realize.
The same one last year on the other
Got one
side.
too, yes. Oh, okay,
Same arm.
yeah. I just wondered if you could comment on the change between 2024 and 2025.
Yep.
Fairly dramatic.
Yes.
In the collections, and what's the impact on the budget to that?
So the budget was probably, is projected to go down in that particular case. What was happening is that we were initially collecting all commercial waste as well. So beyond the trash cans that we have throughout the town, beyond the residences, now we're only doing the trash cans within the town. The residences, we're not doing commercial establishments because the vehicles that we're utilizing now are not able to pick up the dumpsters that the commercial properties had. So we weren't clear because they weren't separating the weights at all in the previous year. But this year is the first full year that we've had where we're able to project. So that's the reduction.
So we were covering the tipping fees before for commercial, but because we went to the automated trucks, now the commercial businesses have their own contracts. So the town now is separate, and so that's the.
Okay, and were the commercial businesses reimbursing the town in the past?
No.
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 But what was occurring, we were actually forced to do it that way, because in the old way things were picked up, the commercial and the residential were picked up at the same time.
Okay.
By the same trucks. So there was no way to break that out, and therefore the town just paid the tipping fees. But it was decided that that's something that really, to ask the town residents, taxpayers to continue that didn't make a lot of sense. Very few, if any, towns do that. So when we went to the automatic, then the divide was made, and the automatic system is picking up the residential. We pay those tipping fees through our town budget, and the commercial is picked up on contract with the individual businesses.
Well, the other thing is that once we went to a different truck, the commercial would be picked up with other commercial in other towns.
Oh,
And so there wasn't a way to separate Kennebunkport commercial from Biddeford or Wells or Kennebunk.
I'd forgotten
And
that
so
dynamic.
that was all mixed together, and
thank you. I also, okay, I still have the floor. I note also that recycling collections have gone up and the unacceptable waste is less than we anticipated. Is that a
So
fair
on
statement?
recycling, we're collecting every week now. So remember,
Yeah.
that's a separate from prior years, right?
Right.
I think one could deduce that in the past, they had more recycling than they could handle, could wait for 2 weeks, so they were throwing the recycling in the
Yeah,
trash.
yeah.
Now it can all go into the
Okay.
bins.
And the unacceptable is
Well,
acceptable.
Yeah, well, one always expect, we don't want to be surprised.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was less than we budgeted, but not by a whole lot, but some, yeah.
the unacceptable waste is really Household Hazardous Waste Day. And so that's something we do jointly with Kennebunk and Wells. And so those costs are then split depending on what people bring that day, and so it's a little bit unknown.
Thank you.
I
There's
have a
another
follow-up,
question.
I have a follow-up question. So we don't know exactly the difference between, actually the residents and the commercial, what the savings was by that?
Yep, well, I think we've got a pretty good number now. We've basically adjusted our budget this year to reflect that.
So what is that number?
Well, based on this, it's about 1,000 tons less. So there was an additional 1,000 tons that were commercial.
So what's that turn into dollars?
So a tipping fee would be,
130,
it's what?
125.
Well, now it's 125, yeah. 125 times 1,000.
Okay,
So what you'll see is that our collection contracts have a escalator each year. So those went up, but the tipping fee for the tonnage went down.
good.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
All right, so we're going to page 223, still under health and welfare. And that is shellfish conservation. So we do have a shellfish warden. This is the administration of the shellfish permits each year, as well as our warden going out and patrolling the flats. So we share a shellfish warden with another community, and that cost, as you can see, is fairly flat. Is there any questions on that? If not, we'll go to page, oh yeah, clam seed, that's what's in there. We're buying more clam seed, hopefully, to seed the flats. So on page 227, we have the public restrooms. So these are the dock square restrooms. This has a sizable increase, and that is because our previous vendor who did the cleaning for years has retired, and we are going out for a new vendor and anticipating much higher costs. So Eric is going through that process right now. You're good. And those programs are paid for through the Dock Square parking lot fund, so it's reimbursing the general fund. So it's a net zero cost, but we also are doing renovations in the restrooms right now. And so the restroom could be open more weeks during the year. Before it wasn't insulated and heated. And so now it can be available for more weeks. Any questions on that? If not, you go to your Public Works tab, and the first department is Public Works, and Eric will take you through that.
Yeah, next slide, please, David.
You
So,
have a clicker up there too.
okay. Well, David, he does good work. That's so just to remind everybody, basically, we are basically 16 people that manage, or split into two departments, or two divisions, I should say, a wastewater division and a highway division. We're about split right down the middle, about 8 and 8, split between the two. The highway division maintains 52 miles of road, 12 miles of sidewalks. Also maintains does all winter operations and such, and I'll go through some of those as we go in. On the wastewater side, we have 16 major pump stations, but also we have a treatment plant that we have to maintain. We also have 87 minor pump stations that we also have to maintain, as well as about 26.5 miles of sewers that we have to maintain on the wastewater side. And that includes labs and all the regulatory things that come with that on the wastewater side. And that's a 24/7 operation, as you can imagine. So those 8 people on the wastewater side maintain those and maintain all the assets that are associated with that. So, should I click? Thank you, sir. And here are the people that we're talking about. So each division has a mechanic as well as equipment operators and wastewater operators. So this is kind of the split between the two. We have a lead, a foreman, and 2 operations managers, as well as a buildings and grounds manager. I shouldn't negate that. That is a very important position that basically maintains all the buildings and cleans all the facilities for us.
They're a buildings and grounds worker, not a manager, so I don't want people thinking we have a whole division.
No, it's just one individual that does this. Yes. So the road maintenance programs, many of you have probably seen us out there doing drainage work and such. With some of the pictures you see here is actually drainage right here in Oak Street and Weston Lock that we've just recently done. We also do all the paving programs as well. So we do, the board has been very generous as to allowing us to really maintain these roads. We've been much appreciative. It makes our job much easier. So all the paving programs, you might see mill, fills, and so those just a kind of acronyms that we use for basically when we mill down a road or we reclaim and reconstruct a road like Walls District Road. So it can go from just a straight overlay, which is when we just paved the road, as you may have seen the state do here last year, to completely reconstructing the road. And that also includes all the drainage that goes there. The most important part often of a road is its drainage. So although we say we bury our best work, we often do bury our best work. So the next slide, please. So winter operations and ice control, that's all of you can certainly appreciate, especially for this year and this season. It's been a very robust season for us. So the operators, are called in on all hours of the night, day and night, and sometimes for multiple days at a time. And they also come in and do the cleanup of dock squares and some of those areas, of some commercial areas as well. The wastewater division also works with the highway division as well to help support those efforts as well. So they will also come out and help out with that operation. Next slide, please. So buildings and grounds, this is what I was, we have a lot of open spaces here that often are not seen. We have cemeteries we currently have to maintain, beach entrances that have to be opened and closed. We have the buildings that have to be maintained as well. So there's a lot of open spaces that we have here. Sometimes people forget how much area that the town actually has, but that is all falls under the Public Works Department. Next slide, please. So capital projects, a lot of that, I'm also the town engineer as well as being the Public Works Director. A lot of the capital projects I tend to get involved in on some levels, on various levels, I guess. And so any projects, for example, actually the bathroom project would be one of our projects that you wouldn't typically think it would fall into Public Works, but it is one of our projects. The pier projects we're heavily involved in. Any kind of capital project that we have out there. There's a lot of wastewater projects that we've done. You've probably seen some of the pump stations being reconstructed recently. We've done the clarifiers. We put in centrifuges at the treatment plant. These are all projects sometimes a little bit behind the scenes. You may not see them, but there's a lot of work that has to go in. We have to keep up with all the assets that we have. And roads are a huge asset that we have in town, sidewalks, but the treatment plant is also a huge asset that we have to keep up with so it continues to function as it should. So a lot of that work sometimes is not necessarily seen in the public, as not as clearly as the pier project, but all of these projects we also have to keep going to maintain, keep up with our assets. Next slide, please. Sidewalks, street signs, yeah, often taken for granted. We go through and you'll see a slight increase in the street sign budget this year. We're just getting a lot of demand for street signs, and so that is going up. You won't see too much in the street lights, but we will be continuing to maintain those. Some of the crosswalks, some of the flashing beacons, all of these small assets all do land underneath the Public Works Department as well. So, next slide, please. So equipment, can't press enough as to the importance of the equipment. It's I would say it's almost so the town mechanic actually maintains all equipment in the town. So that includes all the departments' equipment as well. So it's just not Public Works equipment, but also police, fire, and such. We also work and maintain that equipment as well. It's a lot of equipment that we have here, basically. So as you look at one individual that actually has to maintain a lot of this and manage a lot of all this equipment. Critical, obviously we all need our tools to do what we do. It's only a small department, division of 8 in the Public Works on the highway side. And I would tell you that it's if not for the tools that we have at hand for us, we couldn't get done what we get done. The sidewalk tractors and the unique pieces of equipment that we utilize every day. And the sidewalk tractors will be mowing on the roadside in the summer. They'll be removing snow on the sidewalks in the winter. These are all incredible tools that we have at our veil, and incredibly important, but also has to be maintained as well.
And we are searching for a new mechanic, so if anyone knows
true.
of a good mechanic who'd
Yes.
like to come work for us,
Yes.
we're open.
We are open for business if somebody is interested. It's a great organization to work for. Highly recommend it. Emergency response, I talked a little bit about this. You see some of the pictures here, unique things that you may not think about, but trash trucks will catch on fire and actually dump all the trash in the road so it doesn't destroy the vehicle. We've had these occasions happen a couple of times last year. With new things that go in trash trucks, sometimes the batteries or something, or some chemical reaction will happen in the back of the truck that begin to burn. So the best thing for them to do is literally to just dump it on the road. So here we are picking it up. We do bill them back for this, but we have to respond to these emergencies. So as you see flooding, you see some other issues here where we're having to plate a bridge, a private bridge, because we needed to get emergency apparatus across the bridge, and so we just have to be responsive. We're often called for. We don't always know what we're going to get called for, but we often get called for when people are don't really know where to go anymore, so they'll call Public Works. We try to figure those things out. So, next slide, please, Dave. Yeah, one of the increases that we have in the budget this year is snow paths. We talk about efficiencies of, we calibrate all our equipment so that we're actually distributing salt at a very calculated rate. It's anywhere between 100 to 250 pounds a lane mile. And so, which is wonderful, but with the electronics we have on trucks now, we can actually load up software that will not only geolocate where, meaning where the vehicles have gone, but also the rate at which salt has been applied in those locations. So we try to be as efficient as we can with the salt. We're very calculated about how we apply salt and what treatments we utilize with the roads during the icing. You know, we do anti-icing. We don't try to melt snow and ice. We plow the snow and we try to anti-ice. So try to really reduce any kind of ice buildup on the roads. So that way we utilize a minimum amount of salt on these roads.
How is your salt holding out?
That's good, good. I mean, small storms, sadly, often, because we'll treat at the beginning, we'll treat at the very end of the storm. And often, it can be 3 inches. It's the same as 12 inches of snow. You know, there's not really a correlation there that would say, you know, 12 inches you use more. And it's length and time and also the type of conditions. But we're doing well this year. So, thank you. So, next slide, David. What is not in the budget? So we had put in for a $9,000 Class A license. Reason being is that because of the equipment I talked about, that we have a small excavators, we have those types of things. We're required, because of its weight load, we're required to have a Class A license. All our operators have, our highway operators have a Class B license, which allows them to run a plow truck. But when you're putting a trailer on the back of a dump truck, then you start exceeding the weight limit on those. And currently we have one Class A operator. We actually have two, I should say, because we have two, because we have one on the wastewater side as well. But we were looking to increase that to having a couple of Class A drivers so that we can get our equipment around town. Thankfully, we've got somebody hopefully joining us on Monday that also has a Class A license, so we're able to remove that license.
Great.
Next slide. Yep. Utilities. Do you want me to stay for utilities? Or?
246?
I think you can stay. The changes, I'd say mostly in the Public Works budget, are related to benefits. So we did have a big changeover in staff this year, and so you'll see those benefit lines change based on employee participation. And then there are some increases with our vendors and supplies that we've seen go up, especially road signage. We've had to replace a lot of aging road signage. So utilities are on, does everybody have any questions? I should stop. No? So you're gonna do streetlights, so just stay right there.
Okay.
So page 247 is our utilities, which is our hydrants. So that is what we pay the Kennebunkport Wells Water District. They are anticipating, they said, a 5% increase, and so that's what we place in the budget. On page 253, we have streetlights.
So we have, geez, I'm gonna try to pull the number off the top of my head, approximately 220 to 230 streetlights. We also have streetlights in Dock Square. We have 27 lights in Dock Square as well. So throughout the town, and we have to maintain and replace those periodically. We've been going to this, you see the platter lights here, as we've been replacing approximately 10 to 20 a year. We currently have budget for that right now, so I think we're not going to increase our budget right now, so for that. But we're going to continue to maintain those lights as needed.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Hello. I am Stephanie Simpson, Director of Parks and Recreation. So just want to say thank you for having me tonight to talk about Parks and Rec. The Recreation Department's mission is to provide meaningful opportunities for residents of all ages to stay active, learn new skills, and connect with the community. While many people traditionally think of recreation as youth programming, our department actually serves residents across the entire lifespan, from preschool-age children through older adults. On my slide here, you can see some of our statistics of things we do. We had 8 camps offered last year, 341 camp registrations, 8 special events, 41 beach wheelchair rentals. We had 4,762 program registrations, which, as you can see through the chart there, the numbers are continue to increase. We maintain 4 parks. We have 3 full-time staff, and throughout the course of the year, we've employed 64 part-time staff. Many of our part-time staff are young children, young teens, and it's their first job, 14-year-olds. We have hired as referees, and we also employ people into their retirement. Thank you, Dave. This is our staff. Like I said, we have a director and 2 program coordinators, and then our part-time staff. Thank you. Our programming is organized into 3 primary groups: youth, adults, and seniors. For our youth, our programs start as early as preschool aged and extend through the teen years. These offerings include a variety of athletic programming, such as flag football, basketball, and lacrosse, along with our enrichment opportunities like music programs, trips like our ski trips, and childcare programs, such as our after-school program and summer camps. These programs help children stay active, develop skills, and build friendships in a positive environment. For adults, we also offer both fitness and enrichment opportunities. Such activities we offer include yoga, Zumba, basketball, and softball for our fitness programs, and enrichment opportunities include some craft workshops, beekeeping classes, and we also most recently had a sushi making class at Rosella, which they're all very well received. Our senior programming focuses on maintaining health, social connection, and lifelong learning. Fitness offerings include chair yoga, Tai Chi, and Nordic walking, which helps support mobility and wellness. And we also offer a variety of trips, including theater outings, lunch trips, educational programs, and some behind-the-scenes experiences, which provide unique opportunities for learning and social engagement. Through these programs, the Recreation Department touches the lives of many residents in Kennebunkport and the surrounding communities, and participation continues to grow each year. In fact, we recently had somebody stop by the office who told us they just always assumed recreation was for kids, and they couldn't believe how many programs we offer. So while I take that as a compliment because we're doing a lot, it also highlights an important opportunity, which is to continue to improve how we communicate and promote, so that we can make sure everybody knows what we have going on. In addition to our regular programming, we host many special events throughout the year that bring people together. Our most recent event that we hosted was our Love Bug Ball, which was held at the Consolidated Community School, and we had over 200 people in attendance that night. So events like this help strengthen the community and create memorable experiences for families. Beyond the Recreation Department program and events, we also are responsible for maintaining and managing 4 parks and open spaces. These parks include 2 playgrounds, a disc golf course, a basketball court, tennis and pickleball courts, as well as a t-ball field and softball field. These facilities are used daily by residents and visitors and play an important role in providing accessible outdoor recreation opportunities.
Stephanie, do you want to mention your fundraising at Firefighters Park?
Sure.
In case anybody wants to participate?
Yes, we have started a new fundraising effort, and this was in conjunction with a resident down in Cape Porpoise who really felt it was a need down there to have a playground. And so we have started a fundraising effort called Fuel the Fund. At Firefighters Park, we are trying to raise $200,000 to get a new playground down there. So we have information on our website, kennebunkportrec.com, and I also have information tonight. If anybody's interested, I'd be happy to give them what I have. So beyond that, I've got a graph here that shows the number of programs that have been offered each year. And you can see the lull down where we had COVID, but we have been building back ever since. So each year, we try and introduce new programs regularly because we know the interests of the community evolve and certain activities become more popular, trendy, and so we try and keep the efforts of our programming fresh and responsive to what everyone is looking for. Before closing, I want to briefly clarify how the Recreation Department budget is structured. The department operates with two separate budgets. The general fund budget, which is what we're discussing tonight, covers the staff salaries and benefits, utilities for the recreation building, professional services, and our building equipment repair and replacement. For the upcoming year, there are very few changes to this budget compared to last year, as we don't have any major equipment purchases or repairs planned. So overall, the Recreation Department continues to grow in participation, expand programming, and provide opportunities that benefit residents of all ages. We are proud of the role the Recreation Department plays in strengthening the community and improving the quality of life. Happy to take any questions.
I think it's also important to mention under the special revenue budget, the last line on that is kind of significant.
Yes. So in the special revenue budget, which is where all our program expenses and revenues fall, at the end of the year, we do transfer over excess revenue into the general fund budget to help pay for some of the general fund expenses. This year, we've budgeted $110,000 to be transferred.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, we're going to page 285. We're still under the Recreation and Other tab. So this is the Goose Rocks Beach Advisory Reserve account. So as part of the beach use agreement, the town is responsible to maintain funding at a level of $2,000 per beach use agreement signer. So that is around $130,000. And so what we try to do each year is budget what we think our costs are to maintain our responsibilities under the beach use agreement and maintain that level. It's never a perfect system, but that's what we attempt to do each year. You can see the majority of the costs are for our community safety officers, which patrol the beach and parking. And we do have some water quality testing here, as well as miscellaneous expenses. So those mostly deal with brochures. One of the responsibilities we have is education. And so the signage down there and the brochures is important as well. And that is the Goose Rocks Beach Advisory Reserve account. Deal with brochures, some of our lovely CSOs, our signage and water quality testing. And so the signage down there. Does anybody have any questions on that as well? And that is the Goose Rocks Beach Advisory Reserve account. If not, we will continue in this section to 291 for our contingency account. Does anybody have any questions on that as well? And that So the contingency account is meant for things that are unanticipated. So the first one is, we have a contingency line for salaries and wages. That is in case there are market adjustments we need to make throughout the year to keep up, especially when we are in a recruitment. So we don't know what positions may be coming up in the next year, so we keep a contingency. You'll see in 2025, the numbers were much larger. That was because that was a union contract year, so we put the funding in contingency, because when we do the budget, we don't have a finalized contract yet. And then once the contract's finalized, that money is dispersed to the appropriate departments. In 2025, the next line is accrued liabilities, so when an employee retires or separates, if we have to cash out vacation time or benefits, we, rather than, budget large amounts each year, we keep a reserve account and normally just put 10,000 a year. What we've seen is that due to some of the retirements that we've gone through, that account is depleted quite a bit. So we think we should put in 20,000 this year to maintain a balance that's usable in that account. And then in the past, we've had a fuel contingency in those years where fuel prices have gone up and down. When we started the budget process, we didn't think that was necessary this year. Things have changed, it may be something we might want to explore again. And then the last one is miscellaneous. So the miscellaneous contingency is a line item for the Board of Selectmen to deal with issues that come up through the year that are unanticipated. Things have changed, it may be. Does anybody have any questions on contingency? And then the last one is miscellaneous. So the miscellaneous contingency. If not, I'm gonna turn it over to Nicole for the Selectmen to deal with issues that come up through the year that are unanticipated.
Are we on a page?
Does anybody have any questions on contingency? And then the last.
311?
So on page 311, we have debt service. So the budget for debt service is totaling $1,584,365. It's a slight decrease of $16,077 or 1% from last year, fiscal year '26. The town's current debt includes projects such as the police department, Parks and Rec building, Ocean Ave seawall, village parcel, radio tower, wastewater improvements, and the fire truck lease. As shown in the chart on the slide, our annual debt payments gradually decline over time as existing debt is paid down and the interest costs decrease, with the police building and radio tower debt maturing in calendar year '27. And the fire truck lease. As shown in, and that will be our debt schedule on page 314. Our annual debt payments gradually decline over time as existing debt is paid down.
So on page 314, you can see the debt schedule for each year, as well as what that includes in the years it will be retiring.
Yep, and that will be our debt schedule on page 314. Our annual debt payments gradually decline over time as existing debt is paid down.
So on page 314, you can see the debt schedule for each year, as well as what that includes in the years it will be retiring.
If we have an item, we can refinance, so to speak, on a debt, right?
It depends.
If it's rate.
314, you can see. So if it is a wastewater bond, debt cannot refinance that. And those are normally at 1%, so it doesn't make a lot of sense anyway. On other privately sold debt, if we sell it, like we did the village parcel, then you can normally refinance after 10 years. Debt cannot refinance that. And those are normally at 1%,
And
so
are
it
these
doesn't
fixed
make a lot of sense
interest
anyway.
rates or
On
variable?
other
Yes, for the
privately
most part, they're
sold debt, if we sell it, like we did the village parcel, then you can normally. So one thing that we added to the item tonight is to do the capital budget for fire. Because, so next week is really our capital budget. However, the fire chief is going out to inspect a new fire truck next week, so he won't be there. So if you go under your capital tab on page 298 is really our capital budget. However, 298, I'll let you get there to inspect. That is the capital for fire, and Chief Everett will review that. So if you go under your capital tab on page.
So my capital budget is pretty straightforward as far as, it's a lot of, the money going into accounts is things that we've been doing the same thing year after year to build for a bigger purchase like fire trucks. So this, the breathing apparatus, this is year
my
8
capital
of
budget,
8 that
is
we
pretty straightforward as far as
put money away
it's a lot
to
of
do a replacement program. We're gonna be at
the money going into
$387,000
the same thing.
if
year
this
after year
67 goes
to
through,
build for a bigger
and that should be
purchase like
enough to
fire
replace the
So this, the breathing
packs that we
apparatus,
have that are
year
aging out.
capital
Of
budget,
8 that
is
we
pretty straightforward as
uh,
far as
put money
This is
away.
a-
Another
do a
thing that we do every year to
replacement
replace
program.
6 to 8 sets of turnout gear. If this, so it's just an ongoing cycle, I try to buy that every year because that keeps all my interior qualified firefighters in gear that's less than 10 years old.
Can you just explain what turnout gear is?
This is turnout gear is the coat and the pants that we wear. It's got all the layers to protect us and things like that. It's not cheap. Ongoing cycle, I got around $4,000 for the coat. All my interior qualified firefighters in gear that's less than 10 years old. We protect our firefighters very well. We use good fabrics, not top of the line, but not all the layers to protect us. And I could bore you to death with all kinds of numbers and specs, but I won't. $4,000 for the coat. And then this, for our apparatus reserve, this is money we put away, same thing every year for the purchase of more fire trucks as they age out. And it's
I could bore you to death with
$75,000
all kinds of numbers and
So
specs, but
rather than have big spikes when we need a fire truck to try to maintain a certain level.
And then this, for our apparatus reserve, this is money we put away, same thing every year for the purchase of more fire trucks as they age out. And it's So before we break apart, I know when the budget meeting's over, we were gonna have, we're gonna take a little bit of a break. We're gonna move these tables out, and maybe set up another row of chairs and stuff, so we can do the regular selectmen's meeting, and everybody can be marginally more comfortable. Meeting's over, we were gonna have,
Yes.
we're gonna take a little bit of a break. We're gonna move these tables out, and maybe set up another
Chief,
row of chairs and stuff.
of the replacement equipment, are
Regular
we
selectmen's
buying, are we trending to get things that are PFAS free?
Marginally more comfortable. Meeting's over, we were gonna have. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna bore you with all the facts and figures. The problem with going totally PFAS-free on the turnout gear
Of the
is
replacement equipment.
you have
are we
your,
buying- Trending to get things that.
there's numbers out there that keep you, depending on the layers that you
Okay, I
buy,
said I wasn't gonna bore you with all
your
the facts
heat
and figures.
that it'll protect you
problem
from
with going
is here.
totally
And then
PFAS-free on the turnout gear.
what your body can get rid of from the inside out is another number. When you wanna change one of those numbers, and there's minimums that
depending on the
NFPA requires,
layers that you
when you
buy,
wanna change those numbers, they go like this.
protect
You
you
can't
from
just
going
change one,
is
it's
here.
gonna affect the other.
Totally
So the problem with that
What
is
your
the
body can get
PFAS,
rid of
100%
from the
PFAS
inside
free
out
gear that
is
they
another
have
number.
on the market now.
When you wanna change one of those numbers.
It makes your numbers go in a bad direction. It's not as good as our protection numbers of the gear we're buying right now. So I haven't been buying PFAS-free gear. It's only inside, so a garment is made up out of 3 layers. There's a liner, there's a vapor barrier, and there's an outer shell. It's in the vapor barrier, which is in between the liner and the outer shell, the gear we're buying right now. So unless the firefighter is putting it in their mouths, they shouldn't be getting affected from it, because I don't believe there's any testing that's proven that having it rub on your, anything in PFAS and it rub on your skin will get in your system through the ingestion. So unless the firefighter is putting it in their mouths, they shouldn't be getting affected from it, because I don't believe there's any testing that's proven that having it rub on your, anything in PFAS and it rub on your skin will get in your system.
So next week, we will do capital and the outside agencies
Okay.
and all miscellaneous agencies.
I don't believe there's any testing that's proven that having it rub on your, anything in PFAS and it rub on your skin will get in your system.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Do we have an option to close our meeting?
I heard a voice too, but.
We just want to take a short break because we're exceeding our maximum number of people.
Bob Western. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Do we have an option to close our meeting?
I heard a voice too, but.
We just want to take a short break because we're exceeding our maximum number of people.
Bob Western. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We'll do capital. All those in favor?
Do we have an option to close our meeting?
I heard a voice too, but.
We just want to take a short break because we're exceeding our maximum number of people.
Bob Western.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Capital. All those in favor?
Do we have an option to close our meeting?
I heard a voice too, but.
We just want to take a short break because we're exceeding our maximum number of people.
Bob Western.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Capital. All those in favor?
Do we have an option to close our meeting?
I heard a voice too, but.
We just want to take a short break because we're exceeding our maximum number of people.
Bob Western.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Capital. All those in favor?
Do we have an option to close our meeting?
I heard a voice too, but.
We just want to take a short break because we're exceeding our maximum number of people.
Bob Western.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Capital. All those in favor?
Do
Hi, folks. We anticipate a long meeting, so if you could find a seat, please, and settle in. We got a number of things to cover tonight. Thank you. Thank you. We are continuing now. Hi, folks. We anticipate a long meeting, so if you could find a seat, please, and settle in. On with the Kennebunkport Select Board. We got a number of things to cover tonight. 12th. We are reconvening at, thank you, 7:07. Thank you. We are continuing now. The next item is our, well, first we want to approve the February 26th, 2026 Select Board minutes.
So moved.
We are first and second, any discussion? Thank you. 7:07. Thank you. We are continuing now. The next item, as is our tradition, this is an opportunity for anyone in the audience who would like to address the Board of Selectmen with an issue that is not on the agenda. First and second, is there anyone in the current audience? Anyone in Zoom land? The next item.
Yes, I have Lori with her hand raised.
This is an opportunity
Lori,
for
you can
anyone
speak.
in the audience who would like to address the Board of Selectmen.
Hi, thank you.
With an issue that is not
Lori
on the
Willett,
agenda.
Kennebunkport resident.
Second,
I want to make a comment about an agenda item from the last meeting on February
Yes, I have Lori
26th.
with her hand.
Not the matter itself, only how the agenda item was written. So the item is number 9 that reads, consider the request from Neighborhood Housing Trust for property. About an agenda item. So from the last meeting. Have to go into the packet, not the matter itself. They're not just requesting the land, but they're also requesting the ability to bypass the ballot and instead go to the upcoming June town meeting that they're requesting. So, there was a lot of discussion, and there were a lot of important questions that were raised that still need to be answered. And so whether or not the land is even a possibility, the overall point is to just please be more specific in the agenda items, especially when it comes to how and when the citizens get to vote. So I think that agenda item should have read, consider the Neighborhood Housing Trust request to ask for the property at Goose Rocks and Log Cabin Road at the June 2026 town meeting, instead of just consider the request from the Neighborhood Housing Trust for property. Consider the Neighborhood
Thank you for that
Housing
comment.
Trust request
Appreciate it,
to
Lori.
ask for the property at Goose Rocks and Log
Anyone
Cabin
else?
Road at the June 2026 town meeting.
I would like to just take the privilege, my privilege of moving the agenda items around a little bit. I'd like to move up item number 17, which is to move the treasurer's warrant, the March 12th, 2026 treasurer's warrant.
Second.
I have a first and second, any discussion? All in favor? Around a little bit, I'd like to move up item number 17, which is to move the treasurer's warrant, the March 12th, 2026 treasurer's warrant. Thank you for humoring me on that. The next item
Second.
is the public hearing. We're considering a wharf and weir application to expand the dock at the Kennebunk River Club Marina at 115 Ocean Avenue. The River Club has submitted an application to replace and expand the existing dock at the Kennebunkport River Club. The area will expand. We do have Walsh here to discuss it with us. The Select Board did a site walk today at 1 p.m. In addition to the members of the Select Board that could be present, there were 4 of us. David Bancroft is on personal leave. We also were accompanied by Jamie House, who is our Kennebunk River Master. So if you could just give us a brief idea of what is going to happen, and then I will open the public meeting for comment.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bill Walsh with Walsh Engineering. I'm here representing the Kennebunk River Club. Brian Lincoln, the Commodore, is in the back here with me as well as some of the other members of the Kennebunk River Club. As you said, there's some minor expansion that's going on here on the docks. Thank you. That exist for the Kennebunk River Club. Here representing the Kennebunk River Club. As you all may know, there's been dredging going on this season, and as part of that dredging, the docks do come out of the water. And this was an opportune time to place some of these docks and make some minor adjustments. The overall change here is about 444 square feet of dock area that is being proposed to be changed. In the South Basin, which is the as you're looking at this plan on the screen, is the part down on the bottom. Thank you. That's within the L-shaped granite wall or changed. Is in the south sort of the outside, the left side of that. The river is to the left, just to orient everybody. The gangway will be increased by about 2 feet in width. What happens right now is the ramp comes down on that gangway. That's the part going left to right. As you try to get by that, it's not very wide where that ramp comes down and the gangway is. So that's just an expansion in width on that piece. There's a kids crabbing dock, which is just, right in that space. And that's going to be increased by 1 foot in width. There is one dock along the, just north of that, going right up there. There's actually 4 feet of extension that is proposed in that space right there. So all kind of very little minor expansions and changes. In the North Basin, which is up on the top up there, that's where their kids program is sort of administered primarily. The docks that exist along there are kind of irregular in shape. They're not sort of a straight line, and it creates a little bit of hazard and not quite enough space in that area. So the idea is to just make those consistent edges, if you will. And there's one finger up at the very top and to the right that will be added to it. So all sort of fairly minor changes and adjustments proposed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For that. I would like now to open the public hearing, an opportunity for anyone who would wish to have a statement or ask a question. Is there anyone online? No hands raised. Then I will close this public meeting and entertain a motion.
Also move that motion.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second to approve the Wharf and Weir application for the Kennebunkport Marina. Any further discussion? Sorry, Kennebunk River Club.
Yeah, I would just like to make a comment about what we saw in our walkthrough today, that when we look at these applications, they're working within the boundary conditions of their own zone, so there's no,
No blockages anywhere.
no blockages, no variances needed to go beyond your point. And then most importantly, what the board looks like for the Wharf and Weir discussions is to make sure there's no impediment into the waterway itself, which there is none. So this, the board was very satisfied.
Pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Great.
No further discussion, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a second public hearing. This hearing is to consider proposed amendment to Chapter 160-27. So Goose Rocks Beach parking stickers is the amendment name.
So this is a traffic regulation under 160-27, and these are the amendments to change the word sticker to permits and to change the system so that we can implement the passport system this year at Goose Rocks Beach. So it will be an electronic system rather than a sticker system, and these changes allow that to occur.
I'll open the public hearing at this point in time. Take any comments from the room. Yes, please, come forward and.
So you were meant that you're eliminating the
Well, you got
No,
it.
come right up and, I'm sorry, I do need your name, please.
Oh, I'm
and,
sorry, Frank Strom, I'm a Kennebunkport resident.
Yes.
But you're eliminating the stickers completely, and you'll just be able to enter your plate in the passport system going forward?
Yes.
That's
So
correct.
so you do that once a year for the cars and whatnot,
Yeah.
but there's no longer going to the town hall to get stickers and that
Right,
kind of
Exactly.
thing?
you'll go, we're sending out a letter, you'll go to a portal, you'll input your license plate numbers, and that's
Oh,
how
great.
we'll read permits.
Just want to make sure I understood it,
Sure,
thank you.
sure. Any other questions or comments? Anyone online? Hearing such, I will then close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second to approve the proposed amendment to Chapter 160-27. Any final discussion? All in favor? Thank you. We're going to table item 8, as there have been some factors that have come up that need some more work and review. So we will move on to item 9. Item 9 is an update from GEI and Proc Marine on the Cape Porpoise Pier project, something near and dear to all of our hearts.
I don't think they're here yet. I told them I anticipated 7:30.
Then
Took
we
me seriously.
All right, we will move on. We will postpone item number 9 and move to item 10. Item 10 is to review the proposed amendment to section 240-10.7B, sub 3, of the performance standard regarding valet parking, and this is for the June warrant.
So this is the ordinance language you've reviewed already. We did take it to our attorney who reviewed it and made a couple of minor changes. But this is ready to be placed on the June warrant if the board so approves.
Discussion from the board?
No, I think I'm satisfied with what we've read before and then the changes from legal. So
Great.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the.
Second.
So I have a first and second to place the amended ordinance for section 240-10.7B subsection 3 on the June warrant. Any further discussion? All in favor? So moved. All righty. Item 11. This now is a discussion for the proposed amendment, section 160-23, commercial operation of tour buses in the Kennebunkport regulations. There has been some new work done on that language. There was copies up front, some of them. I don't think we anticipated quite an interested set.
These are the new copies here. There's one more.
What has precipitated this change, you might remember that the previous ordinance language was anticipating having a reservation system in place so that tour buses could make reservations on a 20-minute interval, and then the town would have staff available at the tour bus sites to ensure that that was being held according to their reservations. This was going to be a fee-based system. We have determined, after more review, that we're just really not ready to launch a system and ensure an appropriate probability of success. Anything new has challenges, but this faced a few more challenges than we thought were prudent to take on. Therefore, we have, as a board, decided to step back and provide a fallback position for the 2026 season. It is still our full intent in the 2027 and hopefully moving on that we would establish such a reservation system. that it would be fee-based, that Kennebunk would be a partner in this system for Lower Village. We would have each town would have a staff person to monitor the buses on each side of the river. This is, again, the intent, and we intend in '27 to move forward with that. However, in 2026, we're looking at a stopgap, if you would, an interim solution. It is a change in the sense that in the past, the town had contracted with the Chamber of Commerce to collect data on who was planning to come and to manage the comes and goings of those buses as they came into the Kennebunkport area. These individuals were not town staff. They did not have the ability to write tickets and summons if someone misbehaved or did not follow proper instructions. So the town, as part of its original plan, had decided to put in place a town staff with that authority, with the teeth, if you would, to be able to manage the area such that the bus drivers would respect it and hopefully act well. We are still going to do that. We feel that is an important element to success, even in this stopgap situation. So our plan for the summer of '26 is to continue to use Cross Street. We will collect information from the bus folks. There are several. We will also send out notifications to as many as we can across the region, notifying them of this change. Although this is not a huge change to them for this year, we will include in that what's coming up for next year. And this does make sense. It allows them to factor in the fee. That was going to be a bit problematic with short notice if we were doing it this year. So there it is, the plan. So we will use Cross Street. We are also proposing to set up an additional spot on Ocean Avenue just as you're approaching the boathouse area. And that spot will be used in addition to the two spots on Cross Street. Exactly how the flow is going to work out is going to be a work in progress as we find the best way to manage that, but that is the current plan. So in the ordinance, we have changed the wording to reflect those new realities for 2026. It does allow for a fine. Again, as I mentioned, if an individual bus decides to dump their folks outside of these specific areas, if they refuse to move, if they don't shut off their engines, if they don't follow the requirements of the ordinance, then there is ability to levy a $200 fine with the officer's discretion of issuing a warning if it's the first time. And, there's obviously some grounds for proper management there. And then if there's a second and subsequent offense, that would raise to $400. So we hope this provides significant and sufficient teeth that the management of the buses will become more orderly. So that, I believe, is the main elements of this new wording. I don't know if there are questions on the board.
I don't have any questions.
So perhaps we could just clarify. Can you hear me, Dave? Yeah. We could just clarify that you're not changing that language tonight. This is new proposed language that you worked on, and that you would have to advertise that, and you could pass it in 2 weeks. But tonight, you're not really passing language. This is a review of potential language.
Yeah, so to sum it up, right, we're given a heads up to the bus companies that we are looking at a reservation system for the following season so that they can bake the registration fee into their own base businesses and however they want to handle that. And then to answer the question we've been wrestling with the flow back, the pushback into Spring Street, some of the bus congestion on Cross Street, we will now be having a town person that will be able to issue citations. So we'll be of a level of a person that can issue citations on Cross Street that will be monitoring the flow. At any time, we can have a maximum of 2 buses on Cross Street. And then we are working on a way to any other buses showing up to push them over to the 2 overflow spots, one of them being with the town in Kennebunk. And then to reemphasize what John had said, the town has spent time this week with the bus company, some residents, the chamber, and members of Kennebunk. And when we do get a reservation system in, it's important to know that Kennebunk is now at that point, once we have the reservation system, able to then provide a person on their side of the bridge and also provide a couple spots. And so that will help us.
New spots.
New spots, which will help us to manage this flow. So we're hoping that with enforcement ability, with highlighting 2 buses on Cross Street, enforcing the engines off, no idling, enforcing any rogue drop-offs by mistake or otherwise, and then giving a couple spots this year for a relief valve that we're going to see hopefully some progress and taking the right step for everybody, for both the business side, customers coming here and trying to have a good experience and not waiting in line to get off of a bus, and for our businesses and our residents. So
It'll spread things out.
yeah, and then I think this is great because we finally literally reached over the bridge, and we're working with Kennebunk, and that's only going to help some of the businesses on the lower village side, which are partners of us.
And I certainly want to stress that we invite and would hopefully anticipate that the chamber would still be willing to provide folks to help greet the customers, the bus people, make them feel welcome, point them to possible opportunities in town, et cetera, which was an additional service that they were providing in years past.
If there's anybody here from the bus companies, does anybody have any comments on what we've laid out so far, or?
Well, I just want to introduce Clymer last.
Please,
Yeah.
would you be I'm sorry. Just state your name, please. And thank you.
Louise Hurlbut Designs. Last week I introduced Clymer Berry, who is a member and works for the National Bus Association. And he had communicated with you in regard to that he would work with the New England Bus Association and send all the info that you need to have done. I think the other thing that wasn't addressed is where the buses can park. That is something we've got to solve in this community between Kennebunk and Kennebunkport, because these buses come from all over New England, and some of them, yes, do go to the hotels, and their customers stay in the hotels, but some just come for the day. And how do we solve that problem of parking those buses? Because these buses, different bus companies will need to know where to go to park.
And that is definitely a work in
Yeah.
progress, and providing maps and instructions on where they can go. That's part of the
Because I know Clymer is really willing to, he couldn't come tonight, but he's really willing to work with you on that.
As we
And
are
it's-
with him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Greetings, Greg.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
So my name is Greg Gordon. I'm from Cape Elizabeth, and I represent a company called Destinations North America, and we represent the cruise ships that come into Kennebunkport. We appreciate the council's select board group's decision-making on 27 for implementation of a fee structure. I think that we really appreciate your willingness to test out some different areas earlier this week and bringing the buses down from one of the bus companies to really identify places that were realistic, that were sustainable, and looking for the long-term plans. And I think that if we can all work together on finding a resolution, and maybe Cross Street is not that location, there's other places, but it's wonderful to see Kennebunk and Kennebunkport now looking together to work out this the situation together as a group, as opposed to just each one kind of taking it individually. As one of the companies that brings down a lot of people and a lot of motor coaches all at once, we do work with multiple places in the community. So we do use Cross Street, and then we do that. We do park in locations that we've already identified that we actually pay money to for those buses, so they're not parking on random street sides. And then we also bring them down to the Trolley Museum that the town of Kennebunkport does have a relationship with as part of their agreement. So we're really trying to make sure that we're a partnership in this process. And I think that the people that are here, that are local, are the ones that want to make sure this works very, very well. And we now need to educate the groups that are outside of this community so that they understand the value and the benefits of coming to Kennebunkport for sustainability. And I think that that's what we'd love to see happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Chris, yeah.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Chris with the Main Tour Connection, and we're a receptive tour operator that brings groups into New England and Eastern Canada. So I agree with everything that Greg just mentioned. We appreciate you taking the time to look at it, bring the coaches down, get some ideas on how we can disperse the groups a little bit, make them feel welcomed. And I do agree there's a big part of it is the education process to not just in New England, but it's all across the domestic U.S. that groups are coming in. So, of course, myself and some other organizations, there's the Maine Motor Coach Network, are willing to help come up with some of these solutions in partnership in terms of mapping, also looking at educating operators that don't know the changes that are occurring. We're certainly looking forward to being a partner with that to help facilitate all of that as well.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts or comments that folks would like to share? Thank you.
Laura, you can speak.
Hi, this is Laura Dolce from the Chamber. I wanted to say I'm glad to see that we're going to spend a year before putting some of those changes in place. My one question right now is how the registration process will work.
The intent is would be quite similar to what was been done in the past. We would contact folks that we anticipate will be sending buses. We'll have a portal on our website. There'll be a sample Excel sheet for them to fill out. They would fill that out and submit it. Our ordinance is worded now with this new wording. They need to do that at least 1 month in advance of their arrival. Those will be correlated, compiled, distributed to the chamber and to others for sure. I would hope maybe that the chamber would, through their network, or we can go directly, we'll work out the nuts and bolts of how anyone who is interested in receiving this data will be able to acquire it.
Yeah, we do have a mailing list for that, John. We'd certainly be happy to continue with that. A couple other questions. If the intent was to do this May through November, what happens if buses arrive in April and December as they have in other years?
Well, that's an interesting thought. I imagine it's not going to be a whole lot, but.
But several every year.
I don't know, Chris, or,
I don't know. how
do
we've
you
done
guys
that.
have buses that come into town in April, or? When we looked at the cruise ship, that's where we had pulled the May.
It's not the intent, John, is it,
to turn away buses that come
Not
in
at all.
December
I
or
think-
April or January or February, for that matter.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's not gonna be that large. I mean, Cross Street, for next year would, this coming spring and fall, I think, would be that's where they would know to go.
Yeah.
So they can still register if they're coming early. I know last year we did have some April cruise buses, and we definitely had some Prelude tour buses.
Yes, they could register outside that. I think we would, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Do you come in April, or when do you guys start coming into town?
So our season really is like a May through December, but our bulk of our season is May through October.
Okay.
However, we do sell Prelude packages, so
Good.
we would have
Good.
groups that come in during December. Could also be November too, because those are shoulder seasons, so we're
Yep.
always,
Yep.
you know, there are companies that are looking, so we're kind of that middle person. We are wholesaling to tour operators, and then they in turn are selling it to their groups. Could be a bank club, could be a senior center. So I never know really what the ideas they have. We pitch stuff, but then they'll also come back to me and say, hey, what can we do in November? We have a window of something.
Great.
So
Well, if
there
we know
could
they're
be
coming-
some,
If we know they're coming, then
Yeah.
we'll
They-
we'll
then we
have
can-
people there.
for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And being able to distribute the list to know who is coming and a month out does work, they'll be able to provide you when they're coming and have that information ahead of time for you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Actually, Greg is coming up. Lori, hold on one second. Laura, yeah.
So one last thing for the cruise ships, we kind of operate whenever the cruise ships come into Portland. So last year, a couple of years ago, because of some weather issues, we had cruise ships here on December 23rd and did bring a cruise ship bus down to the area. But normally speaking, the season is really from May through October and a little bit into the beginning of November. And then every once in a while, we have a ship that will come in April.
These are Iceland folks that are coming here in December?
Yeah,
They are. There are some
they're-
ships.
They're going south,
Yes.
they're heading
Yeah,
south.
yeah.
They are. It's a Bermuda of the North.
Yeah. Laura, do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Or, yes, Emily.
Good evening, Emily Nelson. Just a quick Kennebunkport Resort Collection. Just to kind of clarify these spots near the boathouse location, is that going to be standing bus parking for the future? Or is that just May through October? Or kind of what's the future of those parking spots from a
That-
seasonality perspective?
It's certainly for 26. Things can always change beyond that.
So starting within a month, there'll be signage that's no longer standard parking. It will be
Exactly.
for
Some
bus
of those,
only.
not all, well, again, yes, it's still
Yeah.
TBD in terms of how that's going to fit. Whether
Okay.
we'll paint it out or just having one bus, can we keep it against the curb? Those are details to be solved.
Understood. And so the thought is that even past November 15th, that would stay a bus standing
Yeah.
only
Yep.
spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Yes. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Andy West from Day Trip Society in town. We have a business right in Dock Square. And so I understand that you were sort of looking at different locations for the potential locations for the buses, and you're kind of tabling that for next year to get into like a long-term solution.
Exactly.
Okay. I just was like, I know that you were looking at some locations directly in Dock Square and around Dock Square, and I just feel extremely apprehensive about like those possibilities because, for one thing, just for the traffic and pedestrians, I know like I have an office on Union Street, so I go in and out of Dock Square like every day. So I see like the volume of traffic, the high lights, and you know the different seasons of traffic in there, and you know, the buses going through there at all is super challenging. There have been issues with them nicking the sidewalks and knocking things over and all that kind of stuff. And so, like for me, the idea of possibly having bus stops, like displacing parking spots where locals would be parking, and you know, multiple ones, so buses would be coming from this direction, from that direction, all going through the center of town feels just like problematic. And especially Dock Square, because to me that's like a historic location. It's like people have been taking postcards of that location for the past 100 years, and it still has that character. And I don't want to see it turn into a bus depot. So that's
Appreciate the
my
comments.
feelings
I
about
do.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So do you think it would be helpful to just talk about some of the constraints around buses? Because we've gotten a lot of comments about using North Street or other places or.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, I mean, the board has received a lot of feedback about where people think the buses should go. One of the constraints, people have mentioned North Street parking lot here. We cannot have buses here. It is part of an agreement and part of our regulations from a lawsuit many years ago, but we can't have any parking that does not fit in a normal parking spot. So buses can't park here. Another place that people have suggested is Consolidated School or the old helicopter pad area further out on School Street or other areas. So there are zoning requirements, and so much of the town is village residential zone, and parking buses in village residential zone would not be allowed. We can park them in Dock Square zone, but if you look on our zoning map, Dock Square zone is very, very small. So, for example, Cross Street, half of the street is in Dock Square zone and half of it is not. Temple Street by the post office, half of it is in Dock Square zone, half of it is not. Union Street, a small portion of it is in Dock Square zone, the majority is not. You know, the Ocean Avenue by the boathouse is in Dock Square zone. You go beyond that, it's not. So our area is very tight by zoning. We looked at additional parking. You really have to get beyond 5 corners before zoning changes that we could look at some additional parking. So I want you to know that the board is looking at all these options. People have mentioned the Dock Square parking lot. There are big challenges with getting buses in there and then having the turning radius to get them out. Some people have suggested that we should widen that. The town does not own the property there. The town does not even own the road. People think that is there. That's just a right-of-way the town has over church property. So there are a lot of constraints around these ideas, but I don't want people thinking the board hasn't explored more of them.
And I think to build on that too, in terms of, you know, Chris and coming down with the buses, you know, so that was the intent to go through the town to look at different options. You know, as our resident had stated, you know, there was some look at options on Main Street right here, or Main Street down right before the bridge. I think, you know, we're relying on the expertise of the bus operators to help us understand where, in our tiny, tiny shoebox of ability, you know, where can we fit these things. And so I think where we are now, as we've said, Cross Street is the best option for this first go-around to keep them, but to mitigate the buildup of buses on Cross Street, to make sure the idling is stopped, to enforce. And then also the discussion around, you know, on the other side of the bridge and Kennebunk, those options seem to be the feedback that we got from the bus, from Chris and everyone else, is that those options are good, are good. And so I think we're headed to the best of possible options for right now.
For interim.
Interim, but, yeah.
I think it's gonna work out well.
There's some optimism.
I think it's gonna work out.
I think it's gonna work out.
Are there other thoughts
There you
before
go.
we move on? And yes, I'm sorry, you had your hand up.
Hey, good evening. Ben Fitzpatrick from Kennebunk. I just had a question about when you start working with Kennebunk and as you go through this fee, buses parking in private parking lots or business-owned privately parking lots. So this fee is just going to be stuff on the road.
Correct.
Doesn't necessarily matter if they have a greeter or not.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Correct.
we
You know,
don't, yeah.
Yeah, the intent is that when we have a fee-based system, that the revenue that's generated from Lower Village would help support a Kennebunk individual to monitor those spots, as we would have our individual from our revenue in the Kennebunkport side to monitor ours. So it's gonna be a great system.
Yeah, no.
Trust me.
And it's gonna work well.
It sounds awesome, and I appreciate all the work you guys are doing for it.
We'll see what happens.
Tough things. Thank you.
Here's something going on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, one second. Yes, no, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Conrad. I'm a Kennebunkport resident. I want to thank the board for diving into what I know has felt like a buzzsaw, and for the very civil way in which the community has come together, business people and residents, to find a common solution. I think there's been pretty high emotion about it, but people have been generally respectful. And I think the decision that you've made to try out a couple of options for a year, let's learn from that. Have a productive, collaborative relationship with the town of Kennebunk, because they are part of the problem and part of the solution. And listening to the business community and the residents, all of whom are affected differently. I'm impressed by that, and I just want to thank everybody for being good citizens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And there's a hand online?
I
Yes.
feel like we should end the meeting right now. They say always end on a high, right?
Always end on a good note.
Yeah, we should go now.
Bridget,
Joe
you can
went.
speak.
Okay, hi everyone. So my
Bridget,
name
could
is
you please
Bridget
tell us
Boydrick.
Bridget, could you just say your name for the record, please, and your town?
Yes, I'm Bridget Boydrick. I live in Kennebunkport. Some people might know me as Bridget Burns because that was the name I had when I moved here. I just wanted to weigh in a little bit. I've been really encouraged by the conversation tonight about the tour buses. But I feel like there has not been a representation of anybody that is reliant on the income that comes from the tour buses, which includes my family. I've been a full-time Kennebunkport resident for 17 years. I'm not a Mainer, but I moved here because I've been visiting here since I was in the womb. My mother's best friend moved here for a teaching job and ended up becoming the principal of Consolidated School, which is amazing. My first job that I got when I came here was at Wink's store. That's where I met you, Alan Daggett. And several other locals.
A relative?
Go ahead.
Teddy, Gary, Peter, Dan Sr., so many more. My hospitality job has always been reliant on tourists, even though I myself started as a tourist. And I just want to make sure that as we are considering all of these different options for buses, that we are keeping in mind the fact that there are still people in town who rely on the income from the people that are visiting us.
Yeah, I want to say, Bridget, we've heard from many of the folks, of the business owners in town. They have shared their thoughts, and the board resonates with the importance of tourists to their business. And it is our sincere hope that we'll be able to manage the buses in such a way as to increase the quality of time of the visitors, and therefore the amount of revenue that can be brought to the majority of the businesses. So we certainly stand beside you in your concerns.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for calling. Yes.
Hi there, my name's Steve Kingston, I'm a resident of Kennebunkport. I also own Aunt Marie's Ice Cream and another property on the
Kennebunkport
small
side.
shack,
A small
right? As I
shack.
remember,
And a
that small shack.
couple of, and the other one on the other side of the town. But I really appreciate the effort of the select board to kind of slow this down a little bit. And it's kind of interesting, we've had this KBA meeting a couple days ago, and through a few of us who were here 30 years ago, we were all kind of wondering and remembering when this became a very hot issue then. And it's interesting how everything is relative.
And cyclical.
Yes, and while our towns have certainly grown, you know, there are times and moments when things get a little out of control, and we got to kind of either pull them back or take a look at the situation. I was involved quite a bit when the original bus committee, and I have a funny feeling that it never was decommissioned, or whatever you guys call it in this, you know, your political world. It's very possible that you should still have a bus committee, and that's what I'm kind of thinking perhaps you could entertain. When the bus committee slowed down and really took a look at the statistics, and I understand that you're trying to slow it down for 1 year, but I do think there should be input from everybody, right? We're about to start talking, you're gonna talk with Kennebunk. We know that doesn't always go perfectly. But get the residents involved, get some business community leaders involved, et cetera, et cetera. 30 years ago, when we did slow it down, we realized that just like it happened this fall and last fall, we all go back and forth through town, and there were 1 or 2 or 3 days where it was just a mess, right? And that's what everybody remembers. The season ends, whether it's at the bars or the cocktail parties or wherever, everyone talks about that one horrible day, that's 2 horrible days. Now, I'm not saying it's not busy, and I'm not saying it's not congested, but to base such, perhaps rash decisions on, the memory of those 2 horrible days or whatever it was, okay? And also I remember distinctly that when we slowed this thing down, we realized that when the numbers were truly counted and the data was taken in, you could see that it was a very, very short period of time in 52 weeks that it was an absolute mess. So what I'd like to see you guys do is form a committee, get some input from all walks of life, and I think we'd all be better off for it. And we certainly won't have to, go through these adversarial moments in time. So
Not for another
I would
30
like you to
years.
please consider that.
Thank you, Steve. All right, and was anyone else left online? No hands raised. All righty. So do we need we do for this, so actually this all started as we were looking at the revised language. What I would ask, I do need a vote just to put it
I think
for
if
the
you
2
guys
week,
want
right?
to, make sure that we advertise the revised language you have tonight. I think the only other question that came up is whether you want to have a time period of May to November here, or just keep it year-round.
I just keep it open.
I think for right now, we keep it open.
I don't
think,
disagree.
I think what we did our learning session hearing from, the residents bus business. That was a great night. To Steve's point, we sort of did that thing. We've done the evaluation of the town of where we can put it with the bus people. And now I feel like if we open it up, then we will catch all ends. And then we'll see exactly when we have to have somebody hired, for that discrete period. And we'll just sort of, hey, here's our Excel sheet, fill it out, tell us when you're coming, and then we'll be able to get all the data.
I wouldn't want somebody to say, well, you didn't offer the time, so I couldn't fill it in. So
Yeah, so I think we offer the time, we fill it in. We're not caging to, like what we've heard from our bus owners, the 15 to 20 minutes. We're not putting time limits on it this year. We're just saying, okay, we're going to manage those 2. We've got the overflow spots. And then we're gonna, to Steve's point, we're gonna see what this cadence looks like, where's our hot spots, where do we have to really resolve it? And then we'll be able to give Kennebunk an idea also of what will be coming over the bridge to them. And that will help them source to the level that they need to source.
Yeah, it
So-
does. Yeah, actually, just to be clear, we are asking for that 20-minute time period, just to have.
Just to have a.
Well, it's just so somebody didn't sit there for 40.
Okay,
You
good
know,
idea.
so
want
it's
people
just
to
that.
park.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, so that's, so we changed, so that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's just it's not a,
We're not forcing
we're not,
slots.
yeah, we're not forcing slots, but we're just giving an awareness, just
Yep.
like, because that, we're going off of what our bus operators have given us, which is the 20 minutes.
Yep,
zone, so.
exactly.
Okay.
All right, so then,
What do you
we,
need from
do we
us?
agree, just an agreement, good enough? You
No,
have,
you
you have a
can-
question, come on up.
Yep.
Yep.
My name's Dave Cravati. I'm a Kennebunk resident. I also own and operate Ride Main in both towns. Transportation company, if everybody doesn't know yet. But we're out there, and I just wanted to clarify. You said that you're going to table some of this till 2027, but you're also revising the language for this year. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And it will be revised again for 2027, most probably.
Right, so the revisions for this year, spell out Cross Street, they speak to the town having some overflow, they'll speak to the fees.
And the fines.
And the fines for, not doing what's in the ordinance, and those will be enforced.
So those all need to be there to have it in the ordinance language so we can enforce
Enforce
that.
it.
Okay, so it does sound like there is quite a bit what you are changing to what the current situation
yes.
is, and that's not gonna wait a year.
No, indeed. Again,
Okay.
we're putting staff on site that have the ability to enforce the ordinance with the citations, so.
So we're
yeah.
taking a bite out of the apple, and then we're looking at the ordinance in terms of really what could happen, right? So, what the bus operators have told us is 2 buses on Cross Street is what you can fit, 20 minutes to load and unload. And then we found 2 spots within our own little shoebox to put some relief valve for those that show up, that, because we're still trying to manage this and get that understanding. And then, once we can get the reservation system, we're giving the bus companies a year to understand how they're gonna take into that additional fee base and how they wanna work it into their business model. And then we'll understand from our end what the cadence is, where the hot spots are, to Steve's point, work with Kennebunk, and then we'll be able to really have a better understanding for the bus operators again. And I think as we go through this year, we should just be communicating, so it would be great, if we have this on the agenda, we can give an update, you guys can show up and, we can say, this is what we're seeing, this is our issues, can you work with us? Because we're just trying to, I know people are saying this is a once in a lifetime event or something, but, we do have a safety issue in town that the board is responsible, and we do have ordinances that we have to enforce. So that's really bottom line what we're trying to do this year.
And just to be clear, it's one relief valve in our town and one in Kennebunk, just so we.
Okay, and the relief valve in Kennebunkport, as you're saying, is the several spots in front of the toy store over on that side, is that what you're saying, across from the Black
correct.
Dog?
It's on Ocean Avenue, just beyond Union as you're heading to the Colony.
So it'd be those several spots along
It'd be a portion of those spots.
from the ice cream place over to the boathouse?
Yes,
Okay,
that's the general area.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
The
that's what we got
trolley stop
feedback.
still stays.
Yeah.
The trolley stop is
Yeah.
not affected.
And that's where we got the feedback from the bus companies that, out of all the spots that they were looking at, that was the one that, without anything else happening, that was the one that was the best option for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is extremely difficult with the area that you're working with, and so I understand that. I will say, our business comes through there hundreds of times a day, and nobody's more frustrated, and we're, on a time frame and everything, trying to get to people and whatnot, but I would say, the fact that a bus can fit doesn't necessarily mean it's the best spot. And I would say that area through Dock Square backs up the most of all of Dock Square, from Dock Square out Ocean Ave, that curve.
Yep.
So to add a bus in there to unload. Now, when the buses unload, they don't just orderly come down the sidewalk and, they come off the bus and they just disperse. They cross the street in every direction. So, you need to understand that that's not, the bus driver has no control over that. Once that bus stops and starts to unload, those people just are everywhere.
I think the problem that we had was, so we can't expand Cross Street. We can't make that a thing for more than 2 buses that safety can get in there and unload and load for all the reasons that you brought up. We can't get Kennebunk on board because we don't have a reservation system that we feel is foolproof enough that won't cause more problems. So we want to, like John said, we want to launch a reservation system. And then we also have heard from, bus companies that they need a little bit of time to get the fee-based system working. So we're trying to work with all of that. So given all that, and we know we can only get 2 on Cross, then we know we're going to run into some area where we got to find some relief. So Kennebunk graciously gave us a spot over on the other side for a relief valve, but we really needed to find one more spot. And, as Lori had pointed out, people had written into us what options we've been, David Banks, who's not here tonight, John, Lori, Chief, and, Eric, and everybody has been working to see where else can we fit. But there's nowhere that we can add water and make one of these roads bigger for us, unfortunately. So I think that's I hear what you're saying, and nobody's trying to discount what you're saying.
Yep.
But that's going to be used as a relief. So when that 3rd bus shows up and it's going to be sitting on Spring Street and we got to get it somewhere, that's where we're looking, one of those 2 spots is where we're looking to send that one.
Okay.
And
I agree with Steve as far as a committee, having a committee to look at all of this going forward, so that a lot more input can be, given. You had mentioned one of the last thing is that you had mentioned one other thing about the North Street parking lot being unavailable because of the parking spaces that the bus is not allowed to park there by, whatever lawsuit was or whatever.
Exactly.
But if the buses are not parking, but they're just unloading, if that parking lot is reconfigured just to let them pass through and unload in that parking lot and then move on to their, no, that's not allowed
It's
either.
part of a
Okay.
legal setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Bus is
I just wanted to
it's a
clarify
4-letter
that.
word.
Yeah, so I think
for
it's,
that thing, yeah.
I think that's where we're, that's part of the constraint, and like Lori said, Dock Square heavily relooked at, and, we really, we don't want to say Cross Street only 2. We really tried to step up, and the team tried to find the relief spots. And so that's, it's,
This is the best-
Alan says it's gonna work
This
really
is the
well,
best
so we're going with
plan.
him.
This is the best plan we have. Other things that we were thinking of, nobody would have liked it. So this is the best of the best.
Well, it's the best of the
And
worst.
Best
Well, I
of the worst.
appreciate your
It's the best
time.
of the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, but thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
So if folks are comfortable, I'll give folks a minute if this is why they're here. Otherwise, we will move on.
Do we want to go back to 9?
Yes, we do. Item number 9.
Eric?
Up here. Where are we? GEI
Barry.
just came.
Hey, come on up.
Hey, how are
I
you?
wanted, the other alternative is
Well, that's why everybody wants it, that's why. I have no idea. No, we don't want to. We're gonna get the data, and look at the survey.
I was gonna say that.
We have public hearings to see what's that?
Stay with us, folks. All right, folks, if we could keep moving along, please. We'll now be going to item number 9. This is going to be an update from GEI and Proc Marine on progress,
So can I,
status.
we're live, and so people try to hear us from home, so if we could just get back to quiet so we can continue on, it would be great.
Progress and status on the Cape Porpoise Pier project. We have, who will be speaking first?
So good evening. My name is Barney Baker. I'm from GEI Consultants, engineering firm in Portland that designed the pier facility at Cape Porpoise. I've just come from the pier, from the building. I had a meeting there this afternoon, and the good news is I think everything looks great. The construction is being done, well, and there's been a lot of time spent in the design development that created some changes. Project went from, I think, originally budgeted at $1.5 million, and it's now an $8.5 million project. And how did we get there? We got grants from the federal government and grants from the state. And in the midst of all that, the town budget for the project has not changed. And in fact, the good news is from the town's perspective, the project's going to be under budget. So that's pretty much the good news. The bad news, and the reason contractor and I are here tonight, is because the project is behind schedule. What you want to hear from us is that
That it's not.
What's that?
That it's not, and you're here to tell us how you're going to get back in.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're very concerned, just like you are, that the project is behind schedule. Certainly the fishermen get their livelihood from that facility. The chowder house operation is very much in the middle of that, and we know that that is very important to the town and to the employees and the owners that work there. So how are we going to get this done? And I've actually come out of retirement to come back and help the contractor get to the finish line. And it's like any project. The last part of it is often the one where you don't want to rush things. You want to get it done properly. You want to have all the appropriate inspections, get it done on time. So what are we doing now to get it completed is we're going to increase the number of meetings that we have down there to the checks and balances from GEI and the coordination with PROC and the many subs that they have, so that we get this project done as soon as we can. We have a plumbing inspection tomorrow. What does that mean? Well, for the building, it means that once we get past the plumbing inspection, they can start to finish the interior. The exterior.
Barry, I'm sorry, but could you, I've been waiting for the punchline. So can we start from the punchline and work down? So what are we talking? What is your estimate in terms of when you're thinking you're going to finish now?
Well, I'll let the contractor speak to the actual dates, but working backwards, we think the entire project will be done or substantially complete by May 15th. And working back from that, we want to get the chowder house opened up and running by April 1st, get the pier extended and working by the 22nd of April. Get the dock, the north docks, get those organized and completed. They're in operation now, but it's the existing facility. But to get those docks ready to go in their final state I think also by the middle of April. And then the South Pier, which is the section of the pier that's not yet completed, that needs to be done and by barge, and that looks like it will be complete by sometime around the middle of April. The fuel system, which is very important to the fishermen. Right now, they have fuel deliveries off the pier. The tanker comes to the pier, stops at the concrete, where the concrete finishes, and is able to load or service the fishermen from there at a high rate, but it's a scheduled delivery, and right now that's occurring once a week, and that's keeping up with demand. We've talked with the harbor master, and those deliveries can be increased to twice a week when the demand is there. So the fuel system, unfortunately, the fuel system is powered by it's kind of it's the anatomy of the whole pier system. It includes the electrical work has got to be finished. All the pier piping has to be finished. All the pier has to be finished. And so the fuel system site work has to be complete. Fuel system is kind of almost the last thing that's going to come online. So that's likely to be also near May 15th. What work are we pushing off so that we can get this done and get the critical things completed? The final paving is likely to be pushed till next fall. A couple of reasons for that. We understand from Eric that there's going to be additional paving work done in that area in the fall, and so it would follow that this paving could be done at the same time when the area is not congested. Right now, the paving surfaces that are there are being used by the vehicles that go down there. The north float system is going to be behind schedule, and that we're not putting in and on the critical path. We're going to leave that north float system to be done after the other work is completed. That would allow the barge to get the south pier done and then move on to that area and get that work done. So
The north float or the commercial, it's the commercial pier float, it's for the lot, basically it's for the lobstermen, it's for the fishermen.
it's the pier, it is for the fishermen.
It's
Has the ADA ramp leading down to it.
It's the punt float.
It's a punt float, it's our existing, where the existing punt is.
I'm
South
sorry,
is the,
I'm sorry,
so
yeah.
we're talking north, go, I want to be sure.
No, we're talking about.
We're talking the south
We're
float.
talking about the floats, the
Fishermen.
transient float.
Yeah. all right, so
Maybe
you're
it's
talking-
time Sean got up and said a few words.
Yeah, south float
Yeah,
is the one.
good, Sean.
So, but
Very
what are we running into in terms of, like, so what's driving, because we were really trying to press for April. We had slipped a number of times, and then we slipped into April, and the last time we talked is we got to hold April. So what's driving, I don't care who talks to it, but what's driving these, is it a manpower issue? Are we having issues with, I don't know. I mean, why are we so?
Sean, you gotta go.
I'll let Sean speak to that.
And the bait shed, I'm curious, when is that operational?
The bait shed?
Yeah,
So, again, May 15th.
that's a May 15th.
Yeah, I think it's a number of, I'm Sean Toohey with Proc Marine Company. I think it's a number of issues. We've got quite a few subs working in there. I think all contractors right now are short on help, with a lot of work. We're pushing as hard as we can with the subs to get them in there. And, there's a progression through these things. you know, the framers, we had to get the foundation done before the framers could get in, get the building done. Framers leave, the mechanical, electrical, plumbing contractors get in, they have to all do their rough-ins, gotta get their inspections. So, you know, you know, there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen kinda in sequence where we can't just have a whole bunch of people all working in the building.
Yeah,
Do-
and so
doing
I
things.
think I think we just need to, I understand and I appreciate it. But like we talked about, we went through last season and, you know, we, sort of did some unusual things for traffic to make sure that residents could get down there, people could get down there to support the businesses down there. And, you know, so we hit them critical time, and so then we tried to rush, and then we went from November to next year, to this year, to now, you know, late winter, to now we're into spring, and now we're getting into spring. So now we're entering, we wanted to stay away from April, you know, so now I think I can understand what you're saying, I appreciate it, but man, we need some help. You know, we need as much help as we can get, because we can't put the fishermen through another drag out during the height of the season starting up. We can't put the businesses through it, we can't put the residents through it. You know, this one has just been a little bit too, so anything you can throw at it.
Okay.
And we understand, a lot of us came from industry, we understand projects, we understand slippage. But we also have an issue because we're running into another critical season, and a lot of businesses in our town, we have a very short window where these people make money. And man, we just didn't want to walk into another April.
Yeah,
and
and
start
I
it.
appreciate that. I did not want to be into another April, believe me, any more than you did. We are gonna push as much as we can push. And, you know, we've been looking at some alternatives as far as, you know, getting some other subcontractors in to help us out. I'd like to say we can break another crew free, you know, our crew, that's not likely to happen, but like I said, we will continue to push and do everything we can. You know, anything we can do to help out the situation down there, we will do. We just, you know, where we're at, we understand the situation we're in, and we're gonna do everything we can to get done as fast as possible.
Right, and as long as I think when you ran through your critical path, I think we're all on the same page, right? So the critical items here are to keep, you know, to get the fishermen, lobstermen back into a better cadence of their own work, get them safely on their boats and get them back in and out of harbor quick. You know, second to that is also maintaining that we have access for the restaurants, you know, for the businesses down there. The fuel, is the fuel okay if we, you know, can we really get it up to twice a week? Is that what the
Yeah,
lobstermen
you
need?
get up, yeah, once they need it, they'll be able to do it.
Okay.
And we started off the project going twice a week.
Yeah.
It's only been in the last, what,
It's
4 or
over
5
the
months,
winter,
Frank?
yeah.
Yeah,
That
the
we-
winter
that we
was a
dropped to
problem.
once a month.
Yeah,
Right.
It's a slow
Yes.
season right now.
Yeah.
It'll pick up about the middle of April.
Right.
yeah, so that's why we want, so you think we're gonna, like, I know you can't do crystal ball, but are we dead nuts now?
I've tried to build in a little bit of leeway.
So you're gonna come back with good news for us then?
I sure hope so. We are gonna do our best. That's all I can tell you, is we're gonna do our best.
You mentioned you're pushing off the South Float, and I think, you know, as far as the critical path, that's probably the right decision, but what does that mean? You're pushing it off till when?
It still will be, it'll follow right after everything
Right,
else.
so
We're
it
just,
fits
we're just gonna
into the
focus
middle.
on the things that need to be focused
Got it.
on, and then we'll
Right,
get
it's not
into
pushing
that.
off to next year.
No.
We're pushing it to
No.
middle of May, kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
Good.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let us know what you need from us too,
Okay, appreciate it.
please.
And I just have to say that Sean has been tremendous when we've had incidents. We've had crazy things happen with storms, the floats running away recently. weather events down there. And Sean is always a phone call away, and when I call him, he's like, I'm on my way. So he has been very attentive, and things went awry when Barney retired. So we
Yeah.
expect him to be
Yeah.
back on the right path.
So Barney, thanks for coming back, and Sean, thanks for being here. So I think between the two of you, we're gonna get this over the home stretch, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, Sean's always come to the front to help the fishermen down there any way he can.
Yep,
I've seen him
we
do it
really-
many times.
Really appreciate that. And we know the problems you guys have been having with subs, and we appreciate the work you did to get that back on track too. But we just gotta bring it home now.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Would you like to work for me?
All right.
I quit.
So the next item, beyond your next item is item 12. This is, we're looking at the discussion of the town support for special events. Do you want to pick this up, or is this something you'd like to?
Sure, so are we showing anything, or, no, we're not showing anything? Okay, so, in light of how we approach the buses, we like to use a similar approach, for special events. And so, this came up because we're going through our budget season, as some of you were here earlier. We go through every item of the town, and in particular, this year, we've gone through Prelude and taken a closer look at Prelude and the costs. And also some of the comments that were raised from some residents, and also the comments made from businesses and the importance of Prelude for our business community and what we want to support. So, I hope you can appreciate that the board that sits here and has tried to work through the bus situation is the same board that's trying to work through the Prelude situation. And the way that we approach this is try to find a balanced approach. So what you don't hear is we hear both sides. We hear whatever sides there are, we hear both sides. And so we try to work through and do that balance. And that's exactly what we've done with other issues that have arisen within our town last year. That's what we've done with the buses right now. You can see where we're tapping the brakes, no pun intended, and trying to get that process going. And we like to try to do the same approach and find that balance for Prelude. And so we took a look at the costs, and what will happen here is that when we go through the budget with our budget committee, and the budget committee makes recommendations, the board makes recommendations on various things. You could see some of our directors are showing up and saying this, what's in the budget, that's not within the budget. And so then we go through and we try to balance out and try to find, okay, what program is more important, and try to shift some money around without impacting taxes. So to that point, when we looked at Prelude, we looked at the cost of it. So in total, the town cost would be roughly around $43,000, well, this one adds up differently. But roughly right, we would be sitting around 43,000, I think is what we said. And we broke it out. So for example, we looked at special events. So if I'm just going to run you through some numbers quickly, just so that you know what the board is looking at and the budget board. So Memorial Day, the town puts on a community parade. That's roughly like $2,400. We put on GRB road race. That's like a community event. That's $2,000. July 4th is another $3,400. Circus Smirkus is $1,200. And really, these are costs for police, fire, and then the public works station that usually goes in and does set up and clean up for a lot of these events. And then when we get into Prelude, we see a couple different types of cost structure, and it's just because of the way the events are set up. So Prelude, the first Friday of Prelude, we're looking at a cost from the town base of about $5,400, so $5,400. Roughly right. And so that's police, fire, public works, and that's, set up the tree lighting, that type of stuff. The next day, the second day of Prelude, when we have the hat parade, and that's $4,400. Then we get to the second week of Prelude, and that's second tree lighting. We close the streets. And so what people aren't aware of is then when we do close streets and mass gatherings, we have to have emergency setup plans our department heads have to go through and set up these processes. They have to be vetted and approved, and, you know, that's to ensure public safety. So when we do the second weekend, the first day of the second weekend is $11,400. And then the Pooch Parade on the next day is an additional $6,000. And then under the hood, what's not included in the cost is, these are all the overruns. So these are all our overtime costs for our police and fire, and also our public works departments that support these.
It's important to note, those are overtime hours that we were delineating there.
Right.
Correct.
And so during that time, we also, before that, we have a lot of signage, prep work, planning, meeting preparation, tree setup, tree takedown, and that's like an additional $12,000 to the town. We see that work as, these are town employees doing work during their work hours. So we're looking at that and saying, okay, that's a support cost, you know, for the event. You know, also in there is all the additional meetings when we have the street closures and the mass gatherings for the event. So when we're looking at this, we're looking at, again, how to find balance. And I hope you know, can appreciate that. So we realize the value of Prelude for our community, for our business partners, what it means to our town. We realize the value of our community, our taxpayers, and how they want their money allocated. So I guess I'm addressing the board that's left. Joe left us. Was it something you said?
No, that's what I know
Okay. But I think I'd like to propose, as we're going through the budget process, if we would say, you know, the town, in a normal town process, the towns usually put up Christmas trees, the towns usually have parades. Those are community-based events. So, and trying, in the era of trying to find balance, I think what I'm recommending to my fellow select board members is, why don't we try to split the cost with KBA, and after we discuss it, I'll ask Tina if she thinks this is possible, and then we can go from there. But that would mean that the taxpayers, the town, would spend roughly around $22,000 to cover that first weekend, plus our underpinning work that our town employees do for the planning. And then we would ask the KBA to cover the second weekend, which would be roughly around $24,000. I don't think we have chems overlaid, because chems has to be on call when we do mass gatherings, so I don't think we have them overlaid that, but that would just be a small additional amount if we do include those. So I'd like to ask my fellow board members, what are your thoughts about that proposal? And then after, if it is something, I'd like to talk to Tina about that.
Well, I'd kind of like to hear from the public in the business community before I, you know.
Let me see if I can just say the same thing in a little different perspective, perhaps, is that what we are proposing is that the town budget would pay for the pre-prelude events, the planning that the town does, in setting up the tree, taking down the tree, and that we would pay the overtime for our fire, police, and public works for the first weekend, for the first tree lighting. So what the town is offering to provide under the town budget, which affects the mill rate directly, those expenses would provide a tree lighting event for the town. And one perspective on this, and knowing how important the Prelude is to the businesses, that if we're going to have a second tree lighting and a second parade, that we then are asking that KBA be willing to pick up the detail expense, the expense to be able to contract, if you would, the police, and in a similar way, Public Works, and the chems, I guess, would be in there as well as fire. So that's sort of the balance we have in mind, that The town paying for the one weekend is our contribution to Prelude. Is having our residents, our permanent residents, an opportunity to participate in the season. That the second weekend becomes, I think, an important business event, an important opportunity for further revenue, but that be supported by the business community through KBA. So that's kind of what, as I understand it,
Yeah,
we're
and
trying
the
to lay out.
the math actually works out roughly, 22,000.
It works out,
So
exactly.
it works out
Yeah.
roughly right,
But in my mind, that's kind of the rationale that I look at, that makes sense to me.
Well, it's finding the balance, John.
Finding the balance.
Yeah,
I can't actually agree with all that.
I know.
But, but I would like to hear from the
Yeah.
business community and the residents.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. So that's, that would be, because we have heard from residents and we have heard from the business community. And so again, in the art of finding balance, we'd like to listen to whoever wants to speak now and give us some feedback on that proposal or anything else they're thinking of.
Hi, my name's Shannon Dant. I live here in town. I just wanted to put this in everyone's ear, thinking about the benefit of Prelude to our various nonprofits in town. And that the vast majority of our businesses support those nonprofits. I am a former board member of the Graves Library, the Neighborhood Housing Trust, and I'm currently on the board of the PTA at Consolidated School. This past Prelude, the parking lot at the Arundel Wharf Restaurant was donated to us to use to charge people for parking. In 2 weekends, we made over $10,000 for Consolidated School, 200 students that live in this community. We pay for things like field trips, special things for the classroom. We've provided fuel assistance and rent relief for families this year. So many of our businesses make most of their money that weekend. I know people that pay 5 months of their mortgage with the money they make waitressing at Allison's those 2 weekends. It trickles down. And I think Prelude is a train that is freaking barreling down the tracks, and I know people have a lot of opinions about it, but there are people that literally move to this community because of what they experience Prelude weekend. It's really special. It's gained us a lot of popularity, but it is putting food in the mouths of people in this room. And I think we need to be mindful of that. I know you guys aren't trying to cancel Prelude, but the benefit to our nonprofits is something that's important to me, and I think other people here and people listening, and something that we have to just be aware of.
Yeah, I hope you didn't hear anything in my comment that said I wanted to have any less opportunity for you.
No, I
think everything I said would still provide that $10,000
Sure.
to you.
Sure.
I was just hoping that in terms of a balance with the budget and the mill rate of the town,
I guess I'm just thinking.
business would pick up a balanced piece of what we have to pay, that's all.
Right. Further down the road, I think Prelude is going to be coming up more and more because of its popularity. I did want to mention one other thing. Circus Smirkus is no longer happening, so you can take that out of your budget. $1,200.
No, thank you.
Well, we have a whole bunch of directors sitting against the wall right there that are now claiming the 1,200.
Yes.
Hi, John Martin, a resident of Kennebunkport and also a managing partner of the Colony Hotel. I think we're in a good position to discuss this because the Colony really doesn't have a whole lot of benefit. We are now with Coveside being open. We see a little bit of a bump from both weekends of Prelude, but it's not a deal maker or breaker for the Colony. I do see the importance of it, and I see the importance of both weekends. the board had mentioned that most towns cover the cost of raising a tree and putting down a tree, and that be an average cost for a town to take on for a Christmas celebration. But I don't think this is a normal Christmas celebration. I don't think we can liken it to any other town who's putting up a tree and taking down a tree. I think this is a big deal. And I think we get a lot of notoriety from it, and I think a lot of people come for both weekends. And, you know, the first weekend is busy, but the second weekend has a whole entirely different character. And I think there are different types of people who come, and we rarely see the same people come for both weekends. And I think it's important that the town support it on both sides. Now, that being said, I also think that there's also the week in between that generates a lot of interest in the town also. And businesses will tell you, probably more qualified than I am, that they're doing a lot more retail business in the middle of the week, and it carries over. So I really do feel that it is important for the town to support both weekends of Prelude.
So I hope you didn't, so just want to be clear, so we're asking to do like a balance share.
Yeah.
With the business community, and then balance that with the residents. So the first weekend is just not taken up, it is Prelude. So it's the Red Hat Parade, it's, closing the street down for the parade.
First tree lighting.
The first tree lighting, closing the street down for that. So it is Prelude for the first weekend that the town is saying, okay, we got this one, and can we do a cost share and have the business community show up for the second one. And so therefore we keep the stream. So to the rest of the world, we look as one community. And to your point, and to Shannon, sorry, that came before. We know this is getting bigger. We've talked with Tina about how we can help our neighbor on the other side of the river, and maybe some of their businesses to expand the wealth and give people a little bit more elbow room. And so I know those things don't happen overnight, but it's good that we put it out there, and hopefully, hopefully Main Street Kennebunk can enjoy, and some of the businesses there can get a little bit of a punch up too from this and what we're seeing, so.
Yeah, I think it expands well beyond Kennebunkport, and I think we all appreciate that. But it's the Boughton Hotel Corporation's opinion that the town of Kennebunkport should step up and do both weekends of Prelude.
Thank you for that input.
John, can I say something?
Sure, please.
Dave Jordan, I'm on the budget board. I just, having gone through a couple of cycles now of sitting on the budget board, I just want to make everyone aware, and as you may be aware, that Prelude isn't the only issue where Lori and the board are trying to find ways to keep costs down for the town. And so the police in particular and the fire department have been asked to cut back on some of the budget items they requested that we would certainly like to help them out with, as well as all the other departments in town. So I think it's fair to ask for help across the board, and it's not just the Prelude businesses that are being focused on. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, and it's an important point. We struggle as a town and as a budget board to be stewards of your money, of keeping the mill rate flat, which we are hopefully going to achieve. And there are a lot of things that are sacrificed in our town to get there. Prelude started as 1 week. It was expanded to 2. I guess I just have to feel that is a business, and a wonderful businesses, and I'm all for them. It's a wonderful opportunity. But I wish to ask that they take on the extra cost that would have been placed on the resident tax base. So that's what we're requesting here.
Hi, Tina Gordon, General Manager at the Nonantum, but I guess I'm speaking with my Kennebunkport Business Association hat on. If I could, I'm just going to hand out a piece that we put together. There's actually 2, like on the top and on the bottom, there are 2. They're just in 2 different formats, the same information. When all this conversation first started happening about Prelude, I looked at this as an opportunity for education because Prelude, John, to your point, yes, certainly when we started Prelude back in 1981, it was on a wing and a prayer. I mean, how many people in this room were at the first Prelude? A few of you. Okay. Well, not many people were here, not many may remember it, but obviously where it started and where it is right now are two very different things. On the back of that sheet, you're going to see that we kind of put together a timeline.
Could you share those so we
Oh,
might
of
see them
course.
up here as well? I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. Can you grab a couple of those? Okay. Thank you. It's something what I had sent out to you earlier, but so that you have it in front of you.
We're going to be talking about it with everybody
Yes,
here.
okay, okay. So where we started and where we are now are two very different things. And we have been so grateful as the Kennebunkport Business Association for the town's support through all of these years. And I think it's, again, a wonderful opportunity for us to talk about what Prelude is and what Prelude isn't. Prelude has become something that is part of the fabric of our community. And as Shannon said, it's really an entity and has a life of its own. I can appreciate the situation that the budget board is in and that the select board is in, and I certainly appreciate the balance that you're trying to strike because it's a juggling game. It's like you're running a business just like most of us are running businesses, and your expenses are up and revenues can be down. So with that in mind, we looked at this educational opportunity so that we could show and address a few of the concerns that we heard. Just as you hear concerns from residents, we heard concerns from some other folks. What does the business community do for us? How much money does it spend, et cetera, et cetera. And so in the effort for transparency, we wanted to show you that we are 122 members. We're 100% volunteer. We have 232 events at member properties. We have 16 different signature events, 4 of which are in Kennebunk, 4 of which are in Kennebunkport. And we have spent $112,000 this year to put on Prelude, which if you look back in 2019, Prelude cost around $40,000 to put on. So our contribution to the town and to the business community and to the residents to put on Prelude has obviously exponentially raised as well. I think I speak for all of the businesses in the room and maybe on Zoom land that without Prelude, a lot of these places would not be where they are and have the businesses that they do or be able to pay the taxes that they do, employ the people that they do. And the visitorship wouldn't be here. Again, I understand you're not trying to cancel Prelude. I absolutely understand that. But when we went through this exercise of putting this all together for you, we started looking at all the nonprofits because that's such a big area. We were shocked to come across that there's over 35, and I know there's some missing. This is the first time that we've put them in a list. It's the first time we've reached out to find out and quantify how much money do they actually make. And when we put this together, thank you, Laura Snyder-Smith and Rachel Pelkey for helping with all of this, just for the graphics. But when we put this all together, we came up with, as I said, over 35 nonprofits, and we were at around $206,000. I got a few last-minute numbers this morning, and so what's not reflected in there is actually we're around $254,000 in what nonprofits make in those 2 weeks because of Prelude. And so I realize that $40,000 is a lot to the town. It's a lot to anybody, and it's a lot to your total budget. But I look at Prelude as an investment in our community and something that I would hope that the residents would be happy to support because of how it supports so many throughout the year. I can appreciate that you want to split the cost of this with us. It's certainly something that I can't make a decision on my own. I would need to speak with our board. We have a voting process just like you do. And I certainly will take that back to our board. In the past meetings, I had said that we would be willing to pay the difference, pay what we would have to make this happen. But I really think that the town should be paying to help continue support Prelude for both weekends. If that's not a path that we can't continue to go down, then obviously we'll continue our conversations. I will take this back to our board. and we can have our discussions, and then I'm happy to, reach out in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I think that would be great, and I think to David's point before, so we talked about the bus situation, right? So we're trying to find a way to fix what we know. We know we have issues with flow and some traffic issues, and we also have enforcement issues that we're not enforcing. So now you heard the town say, we're going to have somebody that will be of a level to enforce. So that means it's a certain level person that can write a citation. So now we're adding that into our budget. So what we're trying to find is some money to help us fund, that budget. So in essence, the second week of Prelude will help us partially fund that person that we have to monitor the buses.
Shannon just gave you back $1,200. I'm only kidding.
The people against the wall have already scooped it. One of them,
willing to work for $1,200?
yeah, $1,200 would be great if we could find somebody to work for that, but we're not going to do that. So, so I think that's part of, when you go back to your committee, I think that town, it's not that I don't see this as a town not supporting. I see this as a request that we're trying to work and find, again, I'm just going to keep saying the word balance. And I can hear people saying, from the business perspective, you believe this should be, the town should support it. We understand everybody here believes in Prelude. They believe in the benefit to the not-for-profits, the benefits to our businesses in general. We also understand the growth of it and, what's it's transpired to from. Some residents haven't been really ecstatic about that. But again, we've talked about that. Those are things that you can't put the genie back in the box. So I do hope that, from my perspective, and I believe you're hearing from John, and I could pretty much speak for Joe, I do hope that you will see that the board is trying to work on this, and that is communicated back to KBA.
Well, and I appreciate that, Mary Beth, I really do, and I know that the board members who are here and in Zoom land appreciate that. And I just am hopeful that you're as appreciative of KBA's contribution because to this community, because this has truly been a partnership through all these years, and we are hopeful that that's going to remain strong and steady because we can't we can't put Prelude on without you.
Right, and to drive home one more point, you guys funding one weekend's not going to fund the bus, the person that's going to monitor the buses for us. So we're going to, for all the people sitting against the walls, all those directors that have been coming in front of the budget board, they've all tried to keep their things as flat as possible because the school budget went up a lot last year, and the school budget's looking to go up again this year. So we're trying to do our part from the municipality part for our taxpayers, because there's a lot of residents in our town that need help with taxes, and we hear it from them. So we're just trying to balance all these balls, and so we have to now go back. If KBA will come back and support one weekend, we still, as a budget board members and the town, have to go back and find some hole where we can grab some more money out to support that person that's going to monitor the buses. So, the town is not supporting. The town is trying to support as well as support all the residents, not, businesses and residents. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just have a suggestion.
You gonna write us a check?
Greg Gordon.
You want us to know where to write
Cape
that out
Elizabeth.
to?
No, I have a different idea. So one thing we discussed was a fee structure for the buses. So maybe the motor coach companies and buses that are dropping off can then help fund Prelude as part of the fee structure. So instead of being $50 per bus, maybe it's $100, and that money then goes back to the community and impacts. So it's almost like giving back for coming into Kennebunkport.
Have you spoken to Chris about that $100 value? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we've already gotten some pushback about the 50.
Well, the thing is that, you know, we're gonna push back no matter what you're gonna do.
Yeah, it's
So,
sad.
I
but
think that
I
the
do
problem we have,
think.
the problem we have right now is we're trying to solve the problem for this, so that's a great idea.
No, I think that for the future, I guess what I'm trying to say
Yeah.
is that I think that everyone should be giving back if they're coming into the community. And maybe this is a way that we can give back maybe a portion of it,
Yeah.
but something just to think about for the future. Because I think we want to be
Perfect.
part of the discussion as opposed to just the end user.
Appreciate it.
We
Thank you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
So you have another thought?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold back too, I won't lie to you. It disappointed me, one, in your first comments that you didn't mention anything about donations and nonprofits at all. In your soliloquies about, you know, why there should be a share on this thing. That's a huge number. $250,000 raised in 2 weekends for nonprofits. And I'll try to explain sort of the vicious circle, right, that happens, right? When we don't make extra money, we have trouble supporting the weekly request from every single organization that's in the town, that everyone has a pet project and everybody needs a gift card for their auction and all that kind of stuff. And many of us have big budgets that aren't even close to, you have no idea what they are in terms of how much we give back. But you also have to make it at times too, right? So that donation thing's a real big one. But I also think this sort of like, well, the business community needs to share in this. You're like, the burden is being pushed to the business community. I think that's a slippery slope. You have to be really, really careful with that one, I think. But I will also remind you that the town, and I've seen this with this board before, we see it with many boards, right? You forget what your town fathers did years and years ago. It's not really your responsibility, but it kind of is sometimes to protect something that a board once did. But this board came to the KBA and said, hey, this thing's a little out of control. Can you do week 2? You actually came to us and said, could you do that? And then we do it. And then all of a sudden, at some point, you simply, you're going to decide, well, it's getting too much for us. We don't like the appetite. The other one I think is really important. Some numbers shook out on that sheet. But so $10 million, right, in our sales tax total revenue comes back, and it's a share of $3,800 per property. That's our contribution to help the property taxes in the entire town come down. So
I got to look at some of these numbers. There's also a number there that says we get back $500,000 from the pool, from the sales tax pool that the state has. That's not correct. We get back $250,000, which is half that number. So
Okay,
let's get our numbers straight before we're chatting on this, yeah.
well, okay, but you guys are experts at that. We're not, right? We're not. We tried to put this together.
You're
and
putting out stuff that people are reading.
Well, there was no intent whatsoever
I'm
in
sure there
terms
wasn't.
of trying to mislead anything.
Yeah.
The message is, all of these sales tax dollars seriously bring down the cost of everybody's property tax in this town. Okay, and it can't be driven down to just one weekend, certainly. But the message you're putting out is, it's time for you guys to pay your share, right? There are a lot of, and we could go back and forth all the time.
There's a large section of our resident pool that feels Prelude has gotten too big. And, this is fine, it's where we are.
Well, that's something, that's a different discussion.
And so the question is, do my tax dollars still need to pay for this? If people are making the kind of money that I understand you guys are making, and it's a wonderful thing, and that you're giving this back is a tremendous thing. The question is, on that second weekend to the residents, do they need to keep paying for this? We'll pay for one weekend, we're asking you to pick up the second. That's what you're hearing from the board.
And I was just trying to point out to
And
you, I'm
that
not,
board that set up the first one had a very, it's a wonderful, it's a very pro-business board. I think we are certainly pro-business, but we're also balancing residents. So that's where we are.
So Steve, what we're doing too is, I just want to make sure, because I talked to Tina and some other business owners
I'm not
also.
trying to make this adversarial.
No,
I
no,
just wanted to
and
make sure that you
yeah,
understood that
and
one is, you
but
should give some deference to the donations that
Right.
are
So
collected this, and the
right.
other one is be very careful about the message you're sending about being, it's your responsibility. This is, once again, it should be shared in many ways, but towns have responsibilities all the time for taking care of events. You actually have a responsibility to take care of the bus issue, quite honestly.
That's why we're doing it. That's exactly why we stepped up.
You are doing it in a way that you have decided, it's not a collaborative, situation.
So we had, because I want to make sure that we address some of this stuff. So, for example, I'm just talk really quickly about the bus. We invited everybody to come in, we had a listening, we listened to residents, we listened to businesses, we listened to the bus companies came in. We had a great feedback session. We went off, we did work with Kennebunk, we went off, the team did work with the bus company for areas. We said we're doing this trial, and then we're gonna bring that back, and we're gonna have the residents come back, and we're gonna tell you how it went, and then you're gonna tell us, all different sections of our resident pool, businesses, residents, bus people are gonna tell us how you thought it went, and we'll continue on and hopefully get to 2027 and into a real thing. And I think the way we did the listening session, David Bancroft orchestrated that. I think that was a really good thing. It gave a lot of value to the board. We learned a lot, we heard a lot. Everybody listened to each other. It was probably one of the best town meetings I've been in terms of people listening to the other side and with respect and going forward. I think in terms of Prelude, I apologize if I came off without acknowledging the donations. That is a truism.
It's big, it's really big.
It is
It's a huge
big.
number.
It is big, but then I also know that we have specific not-for-profits in town that are suffering. So, for example, Chems is not meeting their donation numbers. And so when I hear we're donating so much, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, Chems is way below their donation level, and that's extremely important for our residents and also for our businesses, for your customers. And they support Prelude. And so I think that's where we can work. Now, the problem is that we just didn't come up and say, hey, we picked a Prelude card, this is what we're gonna bring this to the board meeting. We're responding because we're this focal ground. People talk to us from all avenues of our town. We are responding to residents who have reached out to us, and it's not 3 residents, it's many residents that have reached out to us and said, we don't like this. And then once they found out their tax dollars are involved, they start saying, we don't want to pay for it. So again, we're trying to find that balance, and we say, hey, town will pay for the first weekend, that was it. And we're just trying to say, will that balance everybody? Will everybody feel that everybody's now back into a community base? Businesses are partaking, residents are partaking, and we found that balance. We're out of balance right now.
I think
And
it
the
sets a
worst thing
bad
that could
precedent,
happen-
is all I wanted to make sure that you understood. Because then there'll be, well, then maybe you should take care of the first one, and, and then it just keeps going.
I think
right?
we're trying,
When you-
I think this board, this board is, what we've been trying to do is find that middle ground and not to do multiple cuts. And what I've tried to say in nice language is that you do have residents in this town that are upset. They should be supporting your businesses in the shoulder season. They won't. And that's what I'm afraid of. I saw it happen to one of our businesses over the summer. I don't want to see it to happen to any other business in our town. I want to bring our town, I want to bring, there's a fracture right now. I want to get it, I want to put a Band-Aid on it, and I want to let this wound heal And I want us to get back to something. That's why you see the board reacting. That's why you see the board trying to have these discussions. We're not trying to pick a fight. We are trying to support the businesses. We're trying to support the residents. And I understand you guys, so what I'm hearing is that we may not get a positive answer back from KBA. We will deal with that, whatever you guys come back with. We are waiting for then you guys to come back to us, and then we'll figure out where we go from there.
Sure. Perhaps you could share some of this with the constituency as well, because that, you know, whether they're, I mean, if, obviously you don't want to share incorrect information or whatever, but I can't stress enough the donation thing. We are the lifeblood of a lot of these nonprofits.
And it's wonderful.
Yep.
We totally hear that.
And no one looks for, we're not looking for the credit, we're not looking for the thing, but we do like to see the you know, if you wouldn't even come up tonight if you were supporting Prelude 100%. We wouldn't have had to bring it up, right? So anyways, thanks for my time.
I'm too going to worry about the distribution. The Chamber of Three Towns and one community has done a great job of distribution. All righty.
Does anybody else, is there anybody online? or- Yep,
All righty.
yep.
Hi, my name is Carlene Frost. I own Carlene's Ideas. I'd like to speak to something you said. Residents are upset about paying for it. Well, I'm going to talk about me and my shop. For those who don't know, a lot of the work I do is to help special needs children. I have 3 autistic sons myself, which is why I started Carlene's Ideas. Our whole toy line is sensory therapy and social based, and I counsel parents for free. I help parents with ways to help their children with speech therapy, sensory input, behavior issues, and things like that. I don't ask for a cost. I work extremely hard to stay affordable for everyone because I know how financially crushing autism can be. I don't belong to the KBA because I can't afford it because I keep my prices low. I can't afford ads. I don't do any of that. But Prelude, for me, saves my business every single year. I go all winter long staying open to be a resource for this community. And you know what? My sales don't even pay half my bills through the winter. I go days without a sale. Last week, $137 was my weekly sales. There is zero, little to no community support. Prelude saves my business, and I'm sure it saves others. So while residents may be upset at a cost, they need to know stories like mine exist, that we need Prelude. And there are businesses like mine that can't afford to help KBA pay for Prelude because we're just barely hanging on. To me, it is more important to help people than to get rich. So when you're talking about $22,000, to me, that's peanuts when there are those of us out there helping people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm not a business owner, I just live here. I've been paid taxes for 15 years, but only voted for 2 now, just resident. How much is our budget these days? And in terms of mill rate, what does $25,000 mean? Just to get some idea of where this actually rolls in. I mean, I'm a big fan of Prelude, and I think it's good for the community to invest in it. But what are we really talking? Like, what percentage of the budget is $22,000? And what would it do for the mill rate in town?
It's not a huge percentage, but everything adds up.
Oh, no, I know. I was just like trying to value this investment versus another investment.
Wait, I think when you saw some of the things when we're trying to ask our directors to hold their budgets flat, right? And so they're saying, hey, we really like a software package for, $1,200.
Right.
That's the level that we're talking about. And now we're saying, okay, we're trying to hold it flat. And then we're going to add in a resource. So we're trying to gouge around, and we can't charge. We don't have a reservation system, so we can't charge.
Right, so you can't charge for
Yeah,
the
so we're
following
looking-
year.
Yeah, so we're looking to where, because we don't want to go back into the director's pockets and say, hey, we want to pay for this other thing. So I think the other side of it that we need to make sure, again, is what I said. we hear everything, right? And we are not here to go through a discussion that's uncomfortable for many, because there's no reason, because we're just doing it because. We're doing it because there's residents that are very upset, because they don't participate in Prelude anymore, because it's gotten too big. And then comes the next thing of, I don't want to pay for it. So we're just trying to keep the engine going, and then to do some, hey, you could say it's not a lot of money, but it also then would show that the businesses and that the town is doing something, that the residents, that the businesses and the town are doing a cost share, and the residents see that. And so I think that's where you're seeing the board coming from. And I hope people can appreciate that. I don't think that we might not end up here. We might have to try to figure out something else. What I don't want to happen, and what I'm afraid of, is when we get to the town hall meeting and we vote the budget in, that there's a group of people that might show up and just say no. And for this. And so that's why this board is working so hard, and we've been reaching out, because we feel what residents say to us. I walk into Bradbury's, I go to Hannaford's, I'm walking on the beach. We hear from our residents, and we're just trying to bring that back. And I think our request is, for Tina to take it back, and then we'll wait to hear from you guys, and then we'll address it from that point.
And I appreciate that. I was just trying to get a sense of what the order of magnitude was. I just don't, I apologize, I just haven't done my homework enough to know.
Yeah, it's not the magnitude, it's the gap we're trying to fill.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you for your question.
Yes. Susan.
Susan Graham. I don't want to drag this out, but that's a good word, the order of magnitude, because we're looking at this maybe in the micro sense right now. But in the macro sense, a lot of money comes from the Dock Square parking lot to pay for tourist-related needs. Am I wrong? We use that money to fund the bathrooms, is that correct?
Correct, that's correct.
We're using $50,000 from that fund to repair the public bathrooms so that they can accommodate more people. Just a small thing, but I don't know when this changed. We used to charge for parking in the municipal parking lot during Prelude. And then at some point it became a nonprofit thing, and you would name a nonprofit.
Right.
How much money is that? That's money not going back into the Dock Square parking lot fund. So to me, what you're doing is absolutely correct, and I see the big picture. I wish everybody could see the big picture. And then I'll just say one more thing. The social media on this issue has been completely out of control. I feel so badly for you trying to do your jobs with all of us beating you up on Facebook. It's kind of ridiculous. You started this discussion to try to equalize the police department's pay, if I'm correct. And that's very important. Our own police need to be paid the same amount of money that we're contracting for other police to come and work Prelude. So just to try to bring it back to, not all the emotional things about Prelude, I'm not trying to be a Scrooge, but putting it in perspective of the budget.
Thank you, Susan.
Is there anybody on
Just
that?
quickly kind
Yeah.
of going, oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're up.
I'm Stephanie Salvis. I own Too Cool. Thank you guys actually for all your, I don't know, everything. It seemed like a good team tonight, and thank you for everything. One question, like kind of maybe to Tina a little bit or everyone. Does the general public kind of know, I guess, even who KBA is? That maybe we have raised $112,000, so there is a big chunk of money coming from business. Like, maybe just nobody knows that. And if I heard that, maybe I would be like, oh, they're already putting in a bunch of money. And I understand that with $250,000 raised for charities, maybe I am willing to put a little bit more into this. Or that's my thought, is how much people really know the numbers behind it. It would be my offering.
Yes.
My name is Rob Holmes, and I live in Kennebunkport. One question I'll keep this quick, because the part that the local resident sentiment that's been negative about Prelude, is the word over-tourism been brought up? Is that something that people are saying? You talked about social media, like, is that something that the folks that are against it are bringing up, saying, gosh, we have over-tourism in our backyard?
I think part of it is, part of the things that we hear from residents are the residents that are not here, that have just bought into the town and have been here 1 or 2 years and are enjoying Prelude. It comes back from as we said previous, and Tina and I have discussed, the beginnings of Prelude. Prelude began as a thank you to the residents from the businesses to say, hey, thanks for putting up with us and, the town, and they put on this community-based celebration. And I think, so what we hear is it is no longer for us. It's not for the community. So then the next step is, if it's not for the community and it's the businesses, then why are we using our taxpayer dollars? We don't go anymore. And so people don't have their town. They don't go down for the tree lighting. They don't, not all residents do this. And so that's what we're hearing. And that's what we're trying to solve for, right? And to, I thought maybe this was a way to bridge that gap. Maybe it's not, we'll wait and see. But this would have been something to maybe start to draw it back together. It's not going to put Prelude back into the bottle. It's not going to make it community-based. We're looking for some of the overflow eventually to go to Kennebunk if we can help them out, spread the wealth. That might help, but we're not. I think the residents are at the point where they know they're not going to get their tree lighting back, but they don't want to pay for it. But we're not saying that. The board is saying, we'll do the tree lighting, we do our first one, the second one, we're just asking KBA to show up for. So most of the residents go down to Cape Porpoise, and we're hoping that that's already starting to ramp up now.
Yeah.
So
I think that's, so that was wrong for me to generalize that I strike that. But I think that's, so that's when people come and talk to us, that's what they're saying to us. And so we're not going to be able to draw back time like Tina said, the time. That ship has sailed. We're all on the same boat. We're just trying to say, okay, what can we do for today's issues, and is there a way to soothe the residents a little bit, support the businesses, support Prelude, and we thought this was a fair share.
Sure.
Maybe it's not. Maybe this isn't going to go, and we'll have to think of something else.
I think this room does turn into a pumpkin in a little bit, so
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, here, let me just make my point just on the over-tourism issue. I moved my family here 11 years ago, specifically for events like Prelude. 3 kids, growing them up through the whole public school system, heart and soul, it was Prelude every year. Secondly, I work in the tourism industry. I don't have a dime invested in the port. I've been in the tourism industry for 20 years. I just came from ITB Berlin last week, the largest travel trade show in the world, 100,000 people. I speak on sustainability, regenerative, stewardship. That's why I started my marketing agency. There's no over-tourism here. Over-tourism is based on 3 fundamental principles. Decreased quality of life for the local residents. Sure, one weekend, it's busy. That's not. You can't say that that's decreased quality of life 365 days a year when it's one weekend or 1 week where it's disrupted, or maybe 2 weeks when you look at Prelude. 2, decreased visitor experience. People are ecstatic. People love coming up here. We are an icon. We are a destination now because of what Prelude has become. I own some short-term rentals in Kennebunk. People come up. They come from New York, Massachusetts. That's awesome. We've created something that's special. Is it crowded? Sure. Some local residents, again, some, gonna complain about it? Sure, that's natural, that happens everywhere. The third principle, or the third point of over-tourism is, you're not going to ultimately, decrease quality of life, decrease the traveler experience, and then carrying capacity. What's the carrying capacity of Kennebunkport, of Kennebunk? Between the two of them, we're not hitting infrastructure issues, we're not decreasing the environment thing. So it's not what that concern is. It's just people are frustrated. They see that one weekend, that 1 week, that 2 weeks maybe, where they can't do the things that they used to do in the past. It's grown, it's bigger. We've created something, but we've also created something that's special. And you rip that apart, I'd want to, and I don't know if this is a dumb question, but this should be a vote. This should be a town vote. It shouldn't
Well,
just be
it would-
a small group of
no,
people who
it
are
would-
representing.
So it will be a town vote, because the way we're proposing is it goes to the budget, and it will be a town vote. So that's why we're trying to, it will be a town vote at the town hall
Okay,
when
good.
everybody votes on the budget.
Good.
And so that's why we're trying to come up with a solution that we think will
Okay.
pass that vote.
Okay, no, I just wanted to ask.
And I think just to address your problem, because I just want to make sure that, because I will hear it if I don't say it from residents. So I would just address your comment about it's one weekend, it's 1 week. It's the summer, it's the bus season, it's everything we just talked about. Those are the things that people.
But why are you using Prelude as the kill the golden goose?
I'm just addressing,
Tourism.
I'm
You're addressing
I'm
tourism.
sorry, I'm addressing your point that you were saying, because I'm gonna hear it from residents.
Sure.
I'm just addressing your point that you
Over-tourism
said.
during the summer.
It's only
Yeah.
1 weekend,
Yep.
and you were,
Yep.
I'm just
Yep.
saying, that's not how residents are seeing it, and we're not picking on Prelude. We're just, so again,
In fact, Prelude started because of that fact.
yeah.
Sure,
So that's what.
sure.
So-
Okay,
Thank
no, I
you.
hear you. Yep.
I'm seeing orange, so, we got a few.
Tom wants to go.
Tom, come on, Tom, come on up.
Tom.
Tom Vanderschaff, I'm a resident, taxpayer. I guess I'll just preface with, I like Prelude. I'm happy to support it. I also like your ideas of, cost sharing, is what I broadly bucket those as. And I just think it would help, everybody to better understand, direct costs to the town, direct revenues, and indirect, because there's a lot of confusion happening. I think Steve mentioned raising a lot of state tax revenue, and that's laudable. That's a good thing. Almost none of it comes back. The $256,000 that we get in revenue sharing is all commerce taxed. It's all income taxes from the residents. And it's out of a $280 million state pool. We get 0.1% of that pool. So we could, if we had a banner year, and we raised $10 million of additional sales tax and sent it to the state, $500,000 goes into the pool. We get 0.1% of that pool. It's $500. To do that, we'd have to raise $150 million of commerce. It's not gonna cost the town, I don't know what the number is, but to double the size of the commerce in town, how much would that cost to support? It's a $64,000 kind of question, but my point is it's more than $500. And I think all the benefits of Prelude are great, but I think people need to actually understand who's paying for what. And I think sharing is appropriate in this context, because the benefits are not evenly distributed. And I want to amplify the benefits. And so I think it needs to be like a collaborative sort of discussion to achieve that, but there has to be understanding of who's paying for what right now. And I don't think that's there. So whatever you guys can do to help people understand those dynamics, it needs to improve, frankly, because I think people are on very different pages as to who pays for what and what the costs are and what the benefits are. So that'd be my request.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
There was some other, yeah.
Hi, Rachel Pelkey, Kennebunkport Resort Collection. Clarification, earlier you stated that it was a community event first weekend, and that if KBA was to pay for second weekend, it would not be the community event at detail pay?
No,
You said detail pay.
right, well, I'm sorry if I didn't say it clearly. The offer is that the town would pay all the upfront costs, all the labor that they put into to setting it up, and pay for the overtime pay for our officers and our Public Works, and the fire to cover those manual costs for the first weekend with the parade and the tree lighting. But for the second weekend, we would ask that rather than the town picking up the overtime costs, that KBA contract with the town employees at what's called the detail rate.
I understand
Which
that.
yeah, so that was the request, that's the request of this proposal.
So both weekends would still remain classified as a community event?
Oh, absolutely. I'm
Okay,
sorry, yeah.
perfect,
No,
thank
there's
you.
no- Yeah, no. It's a under the hood thing, nothing would be seen from.
Go ahead.
Hey, Ben Fitzpatrick back again. As a Kennebunker, I'm kind of just here to be nosy and informed, but looking in at this, every prelude I spend in four walls. One prelude, I got to go to the lighting because it was my wife's tree from her house, but I'm in those four walls to support all my employees that are just like, thank God, let's make some money coming into our slow season. What my question is, and maybe you're doing this and I don't know, but I feel like so easily someone with a firefighter's boot and a dog could raise enough money with all the people in this town to buy some of those suits that they need and some of those new things they need. And wouldn't this be a good opportunity to, like the town of Freiburg that completely shuts down to support this? Every nonprofit has a booth at that fair. And are we giving our people in our community the opportunity to say, hey, this is your space, let's make a row, let's all really go after these nonprofits and give them a spot, and what can we do to raise money for the things the town needs and to bump those off your budget?
Yep.
I don't know if you're doing it or not.
No.
We're doing that right now, like Susan Graham had referenced, we hand over the town parking lot and have the not-for-profits come and they can then man it for that weekend or that day that they have, and then they get, they get the funding from that. I know Anthem does Fire and Ice, I know they sponsor non-for-profits for that, so, again, I did not lead with that, and that's my bad. Steve called me out on that, and rightfully so. So I think, yeah.
We could probably do more, so thanks for that thought.
Yeah, just really bring it to their forefront, what we're
Appreciate
doing
it.
for them.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And those bathrooms, you can make a lot of revenue if people have to swipe their card to get into them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
And then the card reader breaks, and,
We all set, Dave?
3 hands on Zoom.
Okay, let's go.
Karen, you can speak. Karen Schlegel, you can speak.
you might be muted, Karen?
She is.
Let's come back to Karen.
All right. Lori, you can speak. Oh, here comes Karen.
Can you do two at once?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello, am I on?
Yes, you are.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, so I just want to say.
I'm sorry, could you state your name, please, and town?
All right, so this is Karen Schlegel, Kennebunkport, Maine.
Hi, Karen. Is there
Most
another
of you know me.
Kennebunkport?
I served on this table and this board when we had this same bus issue back when, 30 years ago. All I want to say is the community and the businesses and the current select board want to make some passage and some community to make it all work. And make it be a collaborative something.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm skipping out.
No,
We can hear you, Karen. No?
Thank you for the comment. We need to try to make it as collaborative as possible, and I hope that's the direction we will go. Do we have another hand?
Yes, we have Lori. You can speak, Lori.
Okay, I didn't get the, can you hear me?
Hi, Lori, yep.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't get the mute thing again. Okay, so, I just
Lori, could
wanted
you
to know
please, I'm
how-
sorry, would you introduce yourself and your town, please?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Laurie Willett from Kennebunkport. I am wondering how, those of us online can see the handout that was given. I know it might not have all, perfect information on it, but is there a way that we can see it?
I'm sure if, it will be, you can go to the KBA site. I'm sure it's on the KBA, is it just kba.com or org or?
We'll put it on there. It's Kennebunkport Business Association.
ChristmasPrelude.com.
Thank you, sorry.
ChristmasPrelude.com. So it will be on that site.
Will you ID it as the handout at the Kennebunkport Select Board meeting of March 12th?
It's not part of the digital because it was handed out hard copy, but you will find it.
Right, but I'm asking if they would identify it that way?
It would actually just be
Yeah, we'll take care of putting it on the website.
it will be on,
Okay, great.
the folks here from KBA have got it. So if you go to the site, it'll be clear where you'll want to go. Give us
awesome.
24 hours.
No problem. And I just want to say, just one more little thing, that I have the image in my head, the picture of the tree lighting with upwards of 4,000 people packed in around the tree. And so it would be really nice. I mean, that's a lot to take into consideration for so many things that the town has to do. Just that one image says a lot to me. And yeah, I just, it's a lot. And I really appreciate all the work that you're doing and all the information that you're taking in and trying to get some solution. It would be nice if it didn't get much bigger than it is right now. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Lori.
And is there another?
We have one more. This is Ryan. You may speak.
Hi, Ryan, you there?
Ryan, you need to unmute yourself.
Hey, sorry about that.
It's all right. If you could just introduce yourself, Ryan.
Yep, Ryan Owens, Kennebunkport. I just wanted to go back to a previous question from someone who went up to the lectern. The FY26 budget for Kennebunkport is $30,080,828, and that request, what we're discussing, is 0.0731% of the total town budget. Just wanted to answer that question, so thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes. It's a very small amount to pay, right? That's what that's estimated.
It's not about that. It's not about that.
No, it's not.
We're gonna hang that out.
Sorry.
Hi, my name's Kate Nelligan.
Hi, Kate.
And I am a Kennebunkport resident. I wrote some things down before the meeting, and it looks like we're making headway, so some of this may be not making sense. So I have a unique perspective. I have lived here my entire life. My childhood home was across the street from the library on Main Street. I have also had a business in Dock Square for the last 10 years. I have watched this town grow and change many, many times. I come from a family that made a living from tourism. First with the Seaview House in Kennebunk Beach, then the Atlantis Hotel, and lastly the Lord's Point Inn that went out to sea in the storm of '78. My dad also owned Kennebunk Beach Realty, where he sold homes to newcomers and welcomed them into the community. Hospitality was always at the heart of his business dealings here, whether it was in real estate or the hotel business. And I think this is the case too for all of the small businesses in this town today. Whether it's a restaurant, a gallery, or a shop, we are essentially the greeting committee. It is where we show people from away, this is who we are. We are all hosting in our own ways, but collectively we make up part of that intangible essence that attracts newcomers and tourists alike. Some may call this intangible thing a town's character. You probably fell in love with Kennebunkport not only for its natural beauty and history, but also for this, us, the businesses you like to frequent. Kennebunkport used to be in the shipbuilding industry, and except for the boat school and Dwight and Woody and a couple others, that ship has sailed. It is now tourism. Do we need to manage growth? Yes. Do we need to find solutions for bus traffic? Yes. But we need time to do it the right way. I don't think we should make time crunch decisions that will affect this year's business. We've already planned our year. Please consider the short season all small businesses must deal with here. We have good business May through September. That's 5 months. Without the buses in October and Prelude in December, it would probably make sense for most of us to close in October. Having a seasonal business is tough. So let's keep talking and find solutions that honor our town's history for hospitality as well as our residents, new and old.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicely put. Thank you. Nicely
But
put.
I do feel compelled just to repeat that we in no way wish to stop buses or stop Prelude. I hope, and I'm clear, I hope that's clear to everyone. We're asking for a revenue, a cost share on the manpower that the town is expending to support Prelude. And we are willing to take a hit on our taxes to support the buses. So it's, yeah. And,
So if we have nobody else, we just sort of, Tina will wait to hear back from you, and then we'll take it from there. I appreciate everybody's comments.
wait a minute, we got one, this is the last comment. You are privileged to be the last.
Louise Orbit. What I don't understand is, we're saying Kennebunkport, we're in Lower Village, okay? Should we not be asking the town of Kennebunk to contribute? This is where I'm confused.
They do.
They do.
They do.
To
They
the same
provide-
amount that you do?
It's right on that sheet.
Actually, a little
Is
bit,
it?
yeah,
Because I see the,
a little bit.
Yeah, I
okay,
think
I just want to make
yeah.
sure that we're.
No,
it's a
so for
fair
example,
share.
the Red Hat Parade on the first weekend, that's, Kennebunk does contribute to the Red Hat Parade for that. So there are items.
Okay,
all
all right, thank you
Yeah,
for
Kennebunk
clarifying
is
that.
involved. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
So we are ready to move it on?
We're ready to move it on, and
All right.
thank you all
So
for your participation.
Yeah, thanks
It's
everybody for the
marvelous.
comments. It's very helpful. Thank you.
We now are moving, folks, if you would bear
yeah.
with me, if you're willing either to exit very quickly or sit for 5 more minutes and let us please finish this very, very long meeting. Item 13, consider amending Chapter 315, Goose Rocks Beach parking rules and regulations. Laurie.
Yeah, so this is the rules and regulations adopted by the Select Board regarding the parking sticker program at Goose Rocks Beach. This is in addition to the traffic regulations that the board adopts. And so this is a separate item because it is a separate regulation. This is again to amend the regulations so that we can adopt the electronic passport parking system for Goose Rocks Beach.
Yep. Okay, so we've been through this. I've read it over again, any updates, and so I'm willing to make a motion to propose amendments to Chapter 315 Goose Rocks Beach parking rules and regulations.
Second. I have a first and second. All in favor? Done. Item 14 is accept donation from Barbara Lyons towards the Firefighters Park Fund.
And can Stephanie just have a moment?
Oh, please. Stephanie, did you stay this whole time?
She's been waiting for her moment in the sun.
It's going to be in the darkness.
I think she's the son. But that's
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, Barbara Lyons is the resident from Cape Porpoise
that is spearheading this project. She thinks it's important to get a playground down there, and I agree with her. So we are working together to get the word out that we are going to be fundraising for a new playground at Firefighters Park.
Cool.
So she wanted to make the first contribution.
Thank you.
That is marvelous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
I,
have information I will share with you.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the donation from Barbara Lyons towards the firefighters park fund for $1,000 with gratitude.
Second.
First and second, all in favor? Thank you. Now to accept a donation from Barbara Renkerl, and I'm sorry if I did not pronounce that, to the Allison Kenway Scholarship.
I'll make a motion to accept the fund with gratitude.
I'll second that.
First and second, all in favor? Thank you. Other business, Alan?
None, thank you.
Say no.
I'm saying no.
Laurie?
I just wanted to note, I passed out to you tonight the county budget meeting.
Right.
And so on April 8th, the county will hold elections for budget committee members. Only board members from the municipalities in York County can vote for them, and our district is missing one public member.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've already moved the treasurer's warrant, so now please.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So I had
Oh.
amended, I had an amended agenda for an executive session to discuss personnel.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, boy, are we lucky. We get to stay a little bit longer. But I thank you, and thank you all for your willingness to stick with us the whole night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we are, if I knew how to read my agenda, do we have the numbers and all that?
Thanks, kiddo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
thank you.
is-
Thanks for all this. Thank you.
Thank you very much for listening. But if I could do anything to help you, because I think there's schools around
Yeah.
So this is a motion
thank you.
of Title I, Section 4056A for deliberation on personnel.
That's to go into executive session. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion for executive session.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? We are in executive session.